Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet.
Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
2 hours of crime drama here on this Sunday of Classic Radio Theater. Dangerous Assignment starring Brian Donlevy, Jay Jostyn as Mr. District Attorney, Bob Bailey, Virginia Gregg, Let George Do It, Don MacLaughlin and Mandel Kramer as counterspies, and an episode of front page drama. That's all ahead on this Sunday. 10th day of December, 344th day of the year, 21 days left until we get to 2024. Let's see, it was Isaac Newton's derivation of Kepler's laws from his theory of gravity contained in a paper read to the Royal Society by Edmund Halley on this date in 1684. Mississippi became the 20th state of the Union on this date in 1817. Emory College chartered in Georgia on this date in 1836. Wyoming granted women the right to vote in 1869. We blame them, right? First Nobel Prize is awarded in 1901. Teddy Roosevelt won the Nobel Peace Prize. The president became the first American to win the prize in 1906. In 1935, the Downtown Athletic Club trophy was now the Heisman, given to halfback Jay Berwanger of the University of Chicago. The UN General Assembly on this date in 1948 adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. This is International Human Rights Day. Martin Luther King Jr. became the youngest African American ever to win a Nobel Peace Prize on this date in 1964.
I accept this award on behalf of a civil rights movement which is moving with determination and a majestic scorn for risk and danger to establish a reign of freedom and a rule of justice.
King was just 35 years of age. 1978 Prime Minister Menachem Begin, President Anwar Sadat, Israel and Egypt respectively jointly awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1978. 2006, 1 million Lebanese opposition supporters gathered in downtown Beirut calling for the government to resign. 2019 Democrats in the House announced formal charges against President Trump that accused him of abusing power and obstructing Congress, making him the fourth president in history to face impeachment. He would be acquitted in the Senate. And in 2021, a widespread, deadly, and violent tornado outbreak struck the central, midwestern, and southern regions of the U.S. 89 people killed by tornadoes, most occurring in Kentucky, where a single tornado killed 57 people and injured hundreds of others. Passing away on this date, Alfred Nobel, also baseball's Walter Johnson, writer Damon Runyon, soul singer Otis Redding, filmmaker Ed Wood, also Freeman Gosden of Amos and Andy fame, Jascha Heifetz, the violinist, industrialist art collector Armand Hammer, singer Farron Young, Hello Walls, actress Shirley Hemphill, Eugene McCarthy, former senator, and Richard Pryor, Philip McKeon, Tommy on Alice, and Tiny Lister. You remember him as an actor and a wrestler as well, and the Monkees, Michael Nesmith, all passing away on this date. Birthdates today include Morton Gould. The Rag Blues Rag, Morton Gould, born on this date in history, poet Emily Dickinson, actress Una Merkel, journalist Chet Huntley, actress Dorothy Lamour, and composer Alexander Courage. You know his music.
Bill Hatch was the head of the music at Desilu, and Star Trek was a Desilu production. So he said, how would you like to write a theme for this thing? And we'll see, if Roddenberry likes it. When I was a little kid and I used to listen to the radio, there was a song by Richard Whiting called Beyond the Blue Horizon. And it had a long tune. And underneath this tune, they used to have usually an accordion player or something like that. You're going ticka, you see, about triple time. You see, so on, with this long tune and all of this underneath it, the train. I thought, well, I should have a long thing that goes out into space, and it keeps going out into space, and everything's going to be long, and it goes, lyrically, as it were, without lyrics. Over a fast-moving accompaniment, and that's it. Well, I did it in a week, and between working at Fox, and I don't know, there must have been about a half an hour of music at least in it.
Okay.
And that was it. I composed it, orchestrated it, and conducted it.
And do you recall how big the band was?
It wasn't very big. It was 20, 22, maybe, somewhere in there.
Do you have any memories of the recording session? I'm assuming it was done in one day.
Oh, yes. It was done in one session. I mean,
in other words, in an afternoon, perhaps?
The morning and an afternoon, sort of 10 to 1 or 2 to 5 or something like that.
What do you recall about the recording session?
Well, I remember that, for instance, we had... there was a fellow in town named Jack Cookerly who had been playing with various kinds of strange things on guitars. And this is just at the absolute bare beginning of the synthesizer. We had a Yamaha something or other, which was a very early primitive Japanese synthesizer, and which I didn't believe in anyway, and I still don't. But in fact, Jerry Goldsmith doesn't use that much anymore. And so the one thing I do recall about what happened after the session was over was I went into the booth and we were all sitting around, and they were talking about the fact that they had not been able to get the proper kind of sound for the spaceship going across the screen as, in the beginning, the main title. And so I said, well, what's the matter? And they said, well, we've tried electronic things, and we've tried this and that. I said, look, you can't, it won't cost you anything. Give me a microphone and give me the picture. So I went out on the stage and watched the screen, and as it went by, there was the microphone. I just went, and that's what they used.
So you're the sound effect of the Enterprise whooshing by in space.
That's what they told me.
Alexander Courage on how he wrote the Star Trek theme. He was born on this date in history. Also born today, Haas from the Bonanza program, Dan Blocker. Actor Tommy Rettig from Lassie. Also actor Tommy Kirk from Old Yeller and the Shaggy Dog. Chad Stewart of Chad and Jeremy fame. And Ku Sakamoto, who wrote a beautiful love song, and the American music industry named it Sukiyaki.
1961.
上を向いて歩こう涙がこぼれないように思い出す春の日 깃털이 버티는 여름.
The translation of the lyrics comes, I look up as I walk so that the tears won't fall, remembering those spring days, and tonight I'm all alone. I look up as I walk, counting the stars with tearful eyes, remembering those summer days, and tonight I am all alone. And yet, Americans called it sukiyaki. Go figure. Alrighty. Yes, Kusakamoto, born on this date in history. Those folks who are still with us include, from the original Whose Line Is It Anyway, Clive Anderson, 71 years old. Laurie Partridge in the Partridge Family, and from L.A. Law, Susan Day, also 71. From fame, the TV show fame, Nia Peoples is 62. Chef Bobby Flay, 59. And actress-singer Raven Simone is 38. Those just a few of the people who celebrate the 10th day of December as their birthday. If this is your birthday...
Hi, we're the Four Freshmen, and we just want to say, Happy birthday to you!
On this Saturday Classic Radio Theater, Brian Donlevy, Dangerous Assignment, going back 71 years, December 10th, 1952. That's next, but first this.
Every child deserves an education, yet nearly 130 million girls are excluded from the classroom worldwide. Even when girls are in school, many don't receive a quality education. This isn't just a social issue, it's economic. The World Bank estimates gender inequality costs the global economy $160 trillion. Help CARE ensure everyone can go back to school at care.org/backtoschool.
Yes, CARE is still with us to this day. Now let's go back 71 years, December 10th, 1952, Brian Donlevy and Dangerous Assignment.
Dangerous Assignment, transcribed starring Brian Donlevy as Steve Mitchell.
Danger is my assignment. I get sent to a lot of places I can't even pronounce. They all spell the same thing, though, trouble. But when I walk into the commissioner's office, I don't realize that this assignment's going to show me that sometimes the best thing that can happen to a guy is to get caught in the middle of a riot. Morning, Commissioner. You sent for me?
Steve, it looks like we're caught in the middle of another first-class frame-up.
Oh, great. What and where is it this time?
Last night, a band of Austrians slipped across the border into Hungary at a point some 30 miles southeast of Vienna. They attacked guards at a strategic mine under lease to the Hungarian government.
Go on, Commissioner.
The attacking party went on a rampage of looting and burning. 6 Hungarian guards were killed.
How do we fit in the picture?
The attacking force, reported to have been 20 in number, left 3 of its members at the scene dead.
So?
The so-called dead Austrians have been identified as American soldiers.
What?
That's right. GIs attached to our forces in Vienna. Situation is tense, growing worse every minute. We're cooperating with the army in this matter, so when you get to Vienna, check with intelligence.
All right.
Obviously, we had nothing to do with this raid, Steve, but we've got to prove that, and do it quickly. Well, that's it. You've got your assignment. Good luck.
The National Broadcasting Company is presenting Dangerous Assignment, starring Brian Donlevy in the role of Steve Mitchell, colorful two-fisted government agent. At all those places of the world where danger and intrigue walk hand in hand, there you will find Steve Mitchell on another Dangerous Assignment. As Christmas draws near, the airwaves fill with beautiful holiday music. And on this station of the NBC radio network, you'll hear some of the greatest music ever composed, played and sung for you by our nation's finest musicians. Our Monday night of music will continue to bring you the most enjoyable musical memories on such stellar programs as The Telephone Hour, The Voice of Firestone, and The Railroad Hour. Beginning this week, And continuing until Christmas, NBC will present a series of Yuletide programs by choirs from all parts of the country. Saturday afternoons, the NBC Symphony Orchestra will bring you more great music. So, when you think of musical entertainment, think of NBC and set your dial to this station.
Sure, I've got my assignment. Get over to Vienna, find out who rigged up the plot to implicate us in a border raid on a Hungarian mine, a free-for-all resulting in the deaths of half a dozen Hungarians and 3 American soldiers. It's early Wednesday evening when my plane sets down. 20 minutes later, I'm in conference with Major Layton, United States Intelligence.
Here are the service records of the 3 GIs, Steve. We're convinced they were kidnapped, murdered, then left at the scene of the skirmish.
When were they first reported missing?
They weren't. You see, they were out on a 3-day pass, due to report back to their company tomorrow. Excuse me. Yes? Good. Send them in, Corporal. Well, that's a relief. And it may be the break we've been waiting for, Steve.
Oh?
Sergeant Monahan's turned up and alive. He went out on pass with the others yesterday.
Sergeant Monahan reporting, sir.
At ease, Sergeant. This is Mr. Mitchell.
Mr. Mitchell?
Sergeant, you've heard what happened.
Yes, sir.
You've known Polson, Keller, and Whitlow a long time, haven't you?
Since, Palermo.
The 4 of you went out on pass yesterday, right?
Yes, sir.
Where?
A place called Frankel's, regular hangout.
I know the place, Steve. Then what, Sergeant?
Well, I had a brew and left.
That the last you saw of the others?
Yes, sir.
What plans did they have for the rest of the evening, do you know?
Yeah, they were figuring on going over to a nightclub called the Blue Flame. They wanted me to come along, but I had a date.
The Blue Flame, huh? Any special attraction?
Yeah, I got a band to play some pretty good bop stuff, and,
And what, Sergeant?
Well, Polson knew a girl there. She's a singer. Polish, I think. Her name's Anna. Thought she was pretty great.
Didn't you?
She was, playing him for a sucker, if you ask me.
The last name wouldn't be Krenko, would it, Sergeant?
Something like that, sir. Couldn't be sure.
Mean anything to you, Major?
Yeah, if it's the same girl. Bad customer, Steve. Clip artist, first class. Been mixed up in black market deals, too.
I see. I think we better have a little chat with this Anna. A quarter of an hour later, the Major parks his car in a dimly lighted side street. I leave him sitting behind the wheel and walk into the Blue Flame nightclub alone. The joint is really jumping, and the cash customers are living it up but crazy. I spot her standing over by the bar, and I push my way through the crowd toward her. I open my wallet, take out the largest bill, and slide it across the bar.
Oh, careful, my drink.
Oh, I'm sorry, miss. I'm very sorry.
Oh, it's quite all right. No harm done.
Clumsy of me. Here, let me buy you another.
Yes, why not? Cognac, please.
My money here seems to have become a little soggy.
I'm certain the manager will not mind.
Bartender, 2 cognacs, please.
You are an American, are you not?
Yes, in town on business. Little pleasure, too. Never thought I'd run into a place like this, Bebop in Vienna.
Oh, you are fond of this bebop?
Well, back home they don't call me crazy for nothing. Oh, my name's Mitchell, Steve Mitchell.
I am Anna. I work here.
Do you? Well, what do you know? Say, maybe you can help me. I'm looking for a buddy of mine. Served in the Army together during the war. Understand he drops in here quite often.
A soldier?
Yeah, his name's Polson, Dick Polson. Maybe you know him.
Polson? No, I do not believe I know him. Now, you must excuse me, please. I have to prepare for my next number.
How about your drink?
Oh, I will be back. You will wait, please?
I'll wait, Anna. I watch as she disappears through a curtained doorway at the far end of the room. A few minutes later, she's back wearing a different evening gown. The lights go down, the band goes into its intro, and Anna begins to purr into the microphone. I slip through the doorway and down a long hall to her dressing room. I spend the next few minutes giving the place a fast frisk and come up with nothing except a snapshot of Anna and another girl, which I slip into my pocket for future reference. Then I hear someone coming down the hall. I duck into a small closet.
Here you are, my dear. You'll find the money in this envelope. Count it if you wish.
It will not be necessary. Thank you, darling.
Thank you, Anna. You'll be most helpful.
Everything went according to plan, really?
Perfectly. There are still a few matters to be attended to, however.
You are going back tonight?
To Bernagi? Yes. A demonstration is planned. I must see to certain important details. However, I have a few moments to spare. May I buy you a drink, Anna?
Thank you. I have a drink waiting for me at the bar, Rudy.
Oh?
And an American.
Oh?
I think you will be interested in him. He came in looking for Sergeant Paulson.
Paulson?
Said he was an old friend.
I see. Well, perhaps he's an old friend, Anna. And then again, he might not be. I think I'd best point this American out to me, Anna. Come along.
I wait till I hear their footsteps fade down the hallway. Then I slip outside. There's a door at the far end of the corridor, and it's open. I ease out into the alley, circle around to the front of the cafe, and watch from the shadows. I don't have long to wait. The gent called Rudy comes out, steps into a long black limousine, gives his chauffeur the nod. The car roars away. I go down the block to where the major is waiting.
What's up, Steve?
I just had a peek at a payoff.
And a Krenko?
Yeah, for services rendered. It's got something to do with Sergeant Polson, that's for sure. I heard Rudy tell Anna he was going to a place called Bernagi.
Bernagi? Well, that's a town just over the border in Hungary. It's only a few miles from the mine.
He said something about a big demonstration.
Sure, it figures. The big build-up, beating of the drums, torchlight parade, the works. All very anti-United States, of course.
Look, Major, I'd like to take in that little soiree across the border. Can you arrange it?
Sure, I can put you in contact with someone. Meanwhile, what about Anna?
Keep an eye on her so we can close in fast. We know she's the contact on this end of the line. I've got to nail the big boy at the other end. It's almost 10 o'clock when I wheel the major's car into a small hillside village overlooking the Austro-Hungarian border. A few minutes later, I pull up at a small shop and start massaging the front door with my knuckles.
Please, my shop is closed. It is late.
My name's Mitchell, Steve Mitchell.
So?
You're Gustav?
So?
Major Layton get in touch with you?
So? Come in, quickly. Herr Mitchell, this which you propose to do is suicide. The border is heavily patrolled since the affair at the mine.
When can I start?
The major warned me it would be impossible to convince you. All right, we must leave at once. It will be best if we are not seen together in the village.
Okay, where do we meet?
You will walk down the street 2 blocks, turn left, and when you reach the railroad tracks, turn right, and follow the river until you reach a barn. We will meet there.
10 minutes later, I pull up in the shadows of the barn, look out over the river. Over there on the other side is Hungary, and just over the hill on my left is a red glow in the sky. That would be the town where the big demonstration is being staged. I glance at my watch, then I hear a twig snap behind me. I start to turn around, but I'm not fast enough. Something hard catches me on the side of the head. I pitch forward and fall face down into the weeds.
Steve Mitchell will continue his dangerous assignment in just a moment. Do you remember that old saying, a stitch in time saves 9? Well, unlike a lot of old proverbs, this one really works, whether you apply it to a chair with loose rungs or your health. Suppose you learned that a few dollars spent now could be that stitch in time that might save your health or the health of your family in the year to come. Sound like a good proposition? Well, here's how it's done. Just buy Christmas seals this Christmas. Yes, the money we spend for Christmas seals now goes for case finding, health education, medical research, and rehabilitation to help fight tuberculosis during the next year. Christmas seal money spent now helps protect us all from the #1 killer among infectious diseases, TB. It's the stitch in time that saves human lives and health, prevents economic chaos and broken homes, which often follow in the wake of TB. Don't say it couldn't happen to you. It can. But you take out a little insurance against it. Save lives and prevent misery, your own and your neighbors', when you buy Christmas seals. Now back to Dangerous Assignment and Brian Donlevy as Steve Mitchell.
Yeah, Mitchell.
Good stuff. Hey, what am I doing in the river?
We are almost across. Yeah, I can touch bottom. I arrived in time to see two men shove you into the river. I waited until they had gone, then I came in after you. I helped you across.
Thanks.
One of them was wearing a chauffeur's uniform.
Rudy and his driver, probably. Huh? Where do we go from here, Gustav?
Bernagi is but a few kilometers from here. Come. We climb this bank, cross the road which runs along the top, down the other side of the incline. Then we still stick to the fields and wooded places as we...
Hold it.
Left? What?
Look up on the road over to your left.
A patrol.
Yeah, come on, we've got to get across that road. We make it to cover okay. We work our way through the weeds and underbrush to a nearby forest and shake the patrol off our trail. 20 minutes later, we're on the outskirts of Bernagi. Gustav takes me to an underground station, and we get dry clothes. Then we head for the square in the center of town. The demonstration is going full tilt. Gustav and I blend in with the milling crowd. There's a speaker's platform in the center, and on it sit 6 people, the wives of the dead mine guards. My eyes run along the row, and then suddenly I do a take.
What is it?
That woman on the end.
Ah, attractive.
Yeah, she takes good pictures, too. Look, this photo. Anna and that girl.
Where did you get this?
In Anna's dressing room. She and this babe must be pals. We've got ourselves another lead, Gustav.
Look, she's leaving the platform.
Yeah, quite an act she's putting on, the grief-stricken widow. Hey, the guy who's leading her away.
Yes, he's wearing a chauffeur's uniform.
Yeah, Rudy's driver. We work our way through the crowd after them. The driver takes the girl over to Rudy's car, parked at one corner of the square. Rudy's inside. We manage to ease close enough to hear him give an address to the driver. It's not far, so we leg it over there. The widow seems to have made a fast recovery from her sorrow. She and Rudy are drinking champagne. After a couple of minutes, he leaves, and the chauffeur drives them away. I pull open the French windows, and we go in.
Who are you?
Never mind. Right now, I want you to start talking about your friends Rudy and Anna.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Save it. You're up to your ears in a very nasty frame-up, and you'd better start spilling fast.
Don't move, any of you.
Who are you?
I will ask the questions. Your identification. Quickly.
There you are, Buster.
United States agent.
What?
What were you expecting?
Oh, please, I'm sorry, Mr. Mitchell.
Hey, what is this?
I am Jan Tresena, brother of the dead man who was supposed to be married to this woman.
Oh, he wasn't really, huh?
No. And he also was not a guard at the mine. He was actually a prisoner from a Czech concentration camp.
Keep talking. This is getting more interesting by the moment.
And he was brought here to Bernagi to work in the mine with some other prisoners. I followed, hoping to help them escape. I had a plan worked out, but the night before last, 6 of them were taken secretly from the mine.
Sure. They were the 6 guys who were killed and later passed off as Hungarian guards. It's the oldest trick in the world. Hitler used it to create one of the incidents that touched off the last war.
Right.
It's beginning to add up fast. The dead Czech prisoners were passed off as Hungarian guards and the dead American soldiers as Austrian raiders. Nice little deal you're wrapped up in, sister.
Please, I only did what I was told to. I did not know what was happening.
You were hired to pose as a dead guard's wife.
Yes.
Who hired you?
Rudy. He also hired my sister Anna to take one of the American soldiers to her place. But neither of us knew they would be killed. Please, you must believe me.
Who is this Rudy?
He operates the mine on a lease from the government.
And he's the gent behind the deal, huh?
Yes. Please get me across the border and I will be a witness.
I think we can arrange that. Take her to the underground station and wait for me, Gustav.
All right. Come.
Jan, we'd be sitting pretty if we had any proof of all this, but without it, we've got nothing.
I know.
It beats me how those prisoners can be erased like that with no questions asked.
Well, who is to ask the questions? The prisoners are very expendable. Their records are sent back to the camp from which they came, simply marked deceased. That is the end of it. No questions asked. No one asks questions because everyone is afraid.
Wait a minute. Their records?
Records?
Sure. If we could get our hands on them, we could bust this thing wide open. Those records must have fingerprints, photos, and the works. That would be proof that these dead guys weren't as advertised.
Wait. Do you think the records could still be in the mine office?
It's possible. Could be they'd hold them for a while until this thing blows over before they send them back. You said you had a plan worked out to get your brother out of the mine compound. Could we use it to get in?
Yes. Yes, I believe we could. You see, the shift changes at midnight. At that moment, 2 grenades were to demolish the south fence. The prisoners were to make a break for it.
Yeah. During the confusion, we could probably sneak in, all right. There's just one hitch, though. Where do we get the grenades?
Will these do, Mr. Mitchell?
Nothing like being prepared, Jan. Yeah, they'll do fine. We climb the hills outside of town until we get to a spot overlooking the mine. There's a barbed wire fence, searchlights, guards, the works. In the center of the compound is a small office building. At midnight, the shift changes.
Now, Mitchell.
Jan uncorks both grenades and lobs them down beside the fence.
It worked. A hole in the fence. Come on.
The prisoners are milling around, fighting with the guards. We slip through the hole in the fence unnoticed and head for the office. Then a reception committee steps out from behind the door.
Hold it. Both of you.
Well, my old friend Rudy. Judging from those records in your hand, you must have had the same idea we did.
When I realized you were still alive, it occurred to me you might try to get the records of the 6 prisoners. I thought I had better remove them.
You had 6 prisoners and 3 U.S. soldiers killed in cold blood to stage this little incident of yours.
Oh, it did not start out as an incident. You see, my records here at the mine would not stand inspection.
You mean you had your payroll padded?
Quite a bit, I'm afraid.
I think I get it. You stage a raid, which results in killing a few guards, and that clears up the padded payroll.
And then it occurred to me I had created something of greater value than I imagined.
Sure, you manufacture an incident and sell it to your government. Got all the angles figured, huh, Rudy?
Yes, including what I will do with you, too.
Oh?
You are trespassers. Need I say more?
No, I get the message.
The window, get out!
Yeah.
Get back, Mitchell!
Let go of the gun, let go. Thanks, Rudy. You took your eyes off me just long enough. And thanks for these records. They're enough to blow this frame sky high.
You've heard my guards outside mopping up. You will never leave this place alive.
You're on, Rudy. Look out the window.
Well, looks like the prisoners have the upper hand. They've overpowered the guards.
What?
Before any reinforcements arrive, Mitchell will have ample opportunity to get back to Gustav and across the border.
Those prisoners out there, they're not trying to escape. They're just standing there staring at the window.
Could be they'd like to have a little talk with you about the 6 you killed, Rudy.
No, Mitchell, you must protect me.
Me? You kidding? I'm just a trespasser, remember?
Well, then take me with you now.
Okay, I'm going to the underground headquarters. I'm sure they'd be happy to see you.
Underground?
Yeah, looks like you lose either way, Rudy. You tried to play both sides against each other, and you wound up right smack in the middle. Come on, Jan, let's get out of here.
Our star, Brian Donlevy, will return in just a moment. Thursday evening on NBC always brings you enjoyable radio entertainment by some of America's favorite performers. Robert Young stars as Jim Anderson in the family comedy entitled Father Knows Best. Roy Rogers and Dale Evans team up to present Western songs and adventure on The Roy Rogers Show. Eddie Cantor takes the top off his memory box and presents his show business show with stories and music to relive the many wonderful years he has spent entertaining young and old from coast to coast. And then Judy Canova sends radio listening your way from Cactus Junction for 30 fun-filled minutes. And Ralph Edwards plays host to contestants from the studio audience on Truth or Consequences. So, for the very best listening each and every Thursday night, be sure to set your radio dial to this NBC station where you'll hear these pleasurable programs. Remember, Thursday brings the Roy Rogers Show, Father Knows Best, Truth or Consequences, Eddie Cantor's Show Business Show, and the Judy Canova Show over most NBC stations.
Next week, Turkey. A booby trap, and I'm the booby.
And that will be Steve Mitchell's dangerous assignment next week. Included in tonight's cast were Paul Duboff, Bob O'Connor, Vivi Janis, Paul Frees, and Jeannie Tatum. This is John Storm speaking. Dangerous Assignment, starring Brian Donlevy as Steve Mitchell, with Herb Butterfield as the commissioner, is written by Bob Reif and Adrian Jondeau, and is directed by Bill Karn. Be with us again next week at this time, when Brian Donlevy, starring in the role of Steve Mitchell, will embark on another transcribed Dangerous Assignment.
71 years ago, December 10th, 1952, Dangerous Assignment on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Up next, we go back 82 years, Jay Jostyn and Mr. District Attorney. But first...
Dear Santa, I hope you are having a good day in the North Pole. Is it cold all the time there? Is that why your cheeks are so rosy? My mom says I'm a good helper. But you didn't come last year. Was my chimney broken? I just really hope this year when I wake up, I'm gonna see that you came to my house too. Wow.
Donate and help the Marines deliver hope to a child in need.
Hope you'll support your local Toys for Tots and your local community service organizations to make sure youngsters don't have to live without Santa Claus. Now let's go back 82 years, December 10th, 1941, on this edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Jay Jostyn, starring as Mr. District Attorney.
Mr. District Attorney, champion of the people, defender of truth, guardian of our fundamental rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Mr. District Attorney is brought to you by Vitalis, Vitalis. Vitalis, the famous preparation that keeps your hair well-groomed. And used with the speedy 60-second workout, helps you to keep your hair.
Friends, before we start tonight's dramatic story, I'd like to have a personal word with you. With our country at war, with each and every one of us determined to win this war, our government needs your material support. One way every man and woman can help is through the purchase of defense savings stamps and bonds. Buy a share in America. Buy all the defense savings bonds and stamps you can, this week and every week. Do your share in helping our country to win.
Our story tonight begins in the vaulted, echoing galleries of the City Museum in your District Attorney's city. It is shortly past midnight, and in the lofty Egyptian hall, a single light high in the ceiling casts eerie patterns of black shadow. Suddenly, a phone rings on the desk of the night watchman, rings and shatters the silence of this modern tomb of ancient art.
Hello? Hello?
This is Patrick Cork, night watchman of the City Museum speaking. Hello. Hello. Well, don't be answering then. The devil take you for disturbing a man's rest. Now, what in the name of all that's holy? Who's that? Stop! Stop in your tracks or I'll shoot! Stop, I tell you! Oh, no, you don't.
But I do, my friend.
Oh.
Well, what do you make of it, Chief? No watchman. No corpus delicti. No nothing.
Yes, I know, Harrington. And we can't tell what's been stolen until the director of the museum gets here.
Ah.
Meanwhile, I want you to search this section of the museum.
Yeah, okay, Chief. Okay, I'll take a look around.
Oh.
But the boys from the precinct figure it was probably just some kids got locked in after closing time.
Well, that wouldn't account for the disappearance of the night watchman.
That's right. And those bloodstains there.
Yes, and the telephone the police found off the hook.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they all seem to indicate he never left the building.
No. Yeah, what did you find out about that phone call,
Well,
Chief?
Miss Miller is checking with the telephone company now. But meanwhile, we've got to locate that night watchman.
Yeah, or what's left of him.
Yes, look in the Egyptian room first, Harrington. That's where the night watchman's desk is.
Yeah, okay. Hey. Hey, Chief, here comes somebody.
Where? Oh, yeah. Oh, that's probably Anderson, director of the museum.
Oh, yeah, okay, Chief. If that night watchman's here, I'll find him, dead or alive.
Right.
How do you do, sir?
How do you do?
I'm Cornwell Anderson, director of this museum.
I'm the district attorney, Mr. Anderson.
Oh, how do you do? Exactly what happened here tonight?
That's what I'm hoping you can tell me.
Well, Patrick Cork, the night watchman, a devoted and trusted guard of long service. I think he could tell...
He's vanished.
Vanished?
Yes.
But how?
We don't know. But tell me, is there anything in this section of the museum that might easily be sold?
Oh, my dear sir, the museum is full of priceless relics.
Well, yes, of course. But do you know of any particular item that might be marketable?
My word, so you think... Well, yes, now that you mention it, yes. Right in the next room, a real collector's prize. Our latest and proudest acquisition.
Yes, what is it?
A priceless miniature, a Holbein. An exquisite and flawless masterpiece of the golden age of miniature painting. For a moment, I was afraid...
Afraid it was stolen?
Yes. You see, there was a previous attempt.
Yes, when?
The last spring.
Did you report it to the police?
No, it happened in London.
In London?
Yes, where the miniature was purchased for us.
Oh, yes, I see. And is this miniature protected by the burglar alarm system?
Oh, yes. Even the breaking of the glass will set off the alarm system.
Well, then the breaking of the showcase in the other room must have set off the alarm.
Yes. Poor Patrick must have seen the intruders, struggled with them.
Then suppose you take me to the case where this miniature is kept.
Of course. It's right over here in the corner of the room.
I see. Well, there's nothing wrong with this case. No glass broken.
No, there isn't. Oh, there's the miniature. No one has touched it.
Yeah.
Chief!
Yes?
Chief, come here!
Why, who is that?
Harrington, my chief special investigator.
Hey, Chief, I found him.
I think I found the night watchman.
Yes, where is he?
Right over there in one of them Egyptian coffins, all laid out like an undertaker's done the job.
My word, in a mummy case?
Mummy case or coffin, he's in there.
Yes, which one?
The middle one, the one with the dogs and palm trees painted on it. Here, I'll just open it again.
Is he dead?
If he ain't, he ought to be.
Oh, my word.
You said it. Oh, boy, this gives me a turn. I'm used to corpses, but this...
Hey, Harrington, this man isn't dead.
Huh?
He's unconscious, but there's pulse action and a faint heartbeat.
Well, for the love of Pete, let's get him out of here.
No, he may be suffering from internal injuries. Phone for an ambulance.
Yeah, right, Chief, right. Now, we're getting something.
Poor Patrick, why, what could have happened?
You see that red welt around his throat?
Why, yes, extraordinary.
No, not at all. This wasn't the work of mischievous boys or amateurs, Mr. Anderson. This man was strangled by an expert.
Chief, it certainly looks like this museum robbery was planned by some very clever crooks.
Yes, extremely clever, Miss Miller. We're not dealing with thugs and gunmen.
No.
Any word from Harrington yet this morning?
Oh, yes, he's on his way down here to the office, and he said something about Scotland Yard, Chief.
Oh, yes.
I wonder what he could have...
Yes, this case has an international angle.
Oh.
See, Anderson, the director of the museum, tells me there was an attempt to steal a prize miniature shortly before it was purchased in London.
But, Chief, if there was a previous attempt, won't it be hard to check with Scotland Yard, what with the war and the heavy cable traffic?
Yes, but fortunately, a yard inspector is over here now on other business. I met him just a few nights ago. His name is Essex.
Oh, yes, I've heard of him.
I'm having Harrington check with him.
Oh, that sounds like Harrington, Chief. He always slams doors.
Oh, Chief.
Hello.
Miss Miller.
Hello.
Well, it seems Anderson of the museum got a bum steer about that there miniature, Chief.
How so?
Well, according to the Scotland Yard inspector, they had a man watching the miniature and other things from the time they arrived from Amsterdam until it was shipped over here.
Yes, and what happened?
Well, nothing. Not a thing, Chief.
You mean to say there was no attempt to steal it?
Not a ghost of a snatch.
Well,
Chief, this case is beginning to go soft. Things are stolen, then they ain't stolen. Guys are dead, laid out in a coffin. The next thing you know, they're up walking around.
And there's a woman in the case, Harrington.
A woman? Wouldn't you know it? No wonder nothing makes sense. Where does she fit in?
she made the telephone call to the museum just before the watchman was strangled.
Well, who is she? Where'd you pick her up?
She made the call from a payphone in a drugstore.
No, we haven't picked her up. And we haven't enough of a description to broadcast an alarm. Hey, Harrington, let's you and I go back to the museum. And, Miss Miller,
Yes, sir.
I've jotted down a list of questions here, and I'd like to have the answers as quickly as possible. So phone Mr. Williams, chairman of the board of the City Museum.
Right away, Chief.
Hello. Oui, this is Pierre Jolet. Oh, oui. It was unfortunate. Well, we must wait. How about no? The museum will be guarded extra well in the night. What? Today is this afternoon? But c'est impossible. Does not matter if you are pressed for the money. But, monsieur, I tell you. Oh, mais oui. This is very clever. They would not expect such a move. You have missed your calling, monsieur.
Yes. Who is it?
Be quiet, Yvonne, a moment. It is only my confederate, monsieur. And your plan is good. And I shall not fail this time. I'll be at your home this afternoon and have the money ready. Au revoir, monsieur. Yvonne, how many times must I tell you?
Pierre, you are not going to try again.
The police will not be expecting it.
But last night you almost killed a man.
Many times I have almost killed Yvonne, but never yet.
You think you are so very smart. But one day you will hold the silken cord a moment too long, and someone will die.
The use of the silken garrote is a fine art, ma chérie. I am master of that art.
Even so, why can we not wait?
The radio and the newspapers report it will sleet and snow this afternoon. The museum will be deserted. By tonight, we will have the money.
I do not like this.
You must do your part this one more time. You must talk to the guard. Keep him interested. Now, where is my cane? Fetch it to me, Yvonne.
The cane? You mean the sword cane?
Mais certainement. The noisy gun, it is not for me.
You are a fool, Pierre.
Do as I say, Yvonne. Bring the cane or I get it myself. And I use it on you.
Boy, this here museum's nearly as creepy by daylight as it was last night, Chief. Oh, I was meaning to ask you, how come you stopped so long at the police lab?
I was having the chief chemist prepare something that may prove to be a solution to this case, Harrington.
Well, now that we're... Well, for the love of Mike, or Patrick Cork, I should say.
Yes, the night watchman.
Good afternoon to you, Mr. District
Oh, good afternoon.
To you, Miss Harrington.
How are you, sir?
And thanks for your interrupting me premature wait.
Think nothing of it, Mr. Cork.
Hey, what are you doing on day duty, Cork?
Well, after what happened last night, I was transferred to the day duty because they're short-handed here at the museum, owing to a couple of the boys being out sick.
Oh, I see. Did Mr. Anderson transfer you?
No, it was his assistant. Mr. Anderson's off home for the day with a cold.
Huh? Hey, he didn't have no cold at 1 o'clock this morning.
Well, I was hoping to get some further information on the history of the Holbein miniature from him.
Well, now, his assistant, Miss Jones, might be after having it, sir. There is a pamphlet.
First, that might do. Go get one of those pamphlets, Harrington.
Yeah, okay, Chief.
Right.
Well, hello, Miss Miller. What brings you here at 90 miles an hour?
No time for that now, Harrington. Oh, Chief, I
Yes?
have the information.
Good, but just a minute, Miss Miller.
Right.
Harrington.
Yeah, Chief?
Get that pamphlet from the assistant director right away, will you?
right.
Down the hall, first door to the right.
Yeah, thanks. Right away, Chief.
Now then, let's have that report, Miss
Here you
Miller.
are, Chief. Your hunch was more than right.
Ah, yes, so it would seem. Oh, Miss Miller, this is Patrick Cork, the watchman who was nearly strangled to death last night.
Oh, hello, Mr. Cork. You had a lucky escape.
How do you do, Miss Miller? Sure, and as thankful I am to be alive this day.
I should say. Well, Chief, what do you make of the report?
Yeah, it's pretty much what I'd expected to have confirmed. Do you have the key to the showcase guarding the Holbein miniature, Cork?
I have that, Mr. District Attorney.
Good. Open the case, William.
Open the case?
Yes.
Well, now, I don't rightly know, sir. Well, I'll have to disconnect the alarm system first.
That'll be quite all right.
Well, if you say so, sir, I'll disconnect the wire here at the switch. Would you be wanting to take the miniature out, sir?
No. No, I'm not even going to touch the miniature myself.
Well, let anybody just try to touch it. I'm itching to get my hands on the devil that came close to choking me to death.
Oh, just a minute, Cork. And now get this straight. If anyone tries to steal this miniature, don't raise a hand to stop them. Now remember, don't try to stop them.
Come on, Yvonne. It is almost closing time, and we must act quickly.
The museum is deserted. Pierre, this may be a trap.
Nonsense. It is sleeting. That is why no one is here, and it is perfect. Now, go talk with the guard. Get him away from the miniature case, into the Egyptian room, and give me time to cut the glass.
Suppose the alarm goes off as it did last night.
Even so, there is only the guard. I will take care of him. There he comes. Engage him in conversation for me. Get him away from here.
Oh, watchman, I beg your pardon.
Oh, good afternoon, miss. What can I do for you?
I came to see the Egyptian collection. Where is it?
Well, right down the hall, miss, around the corner to your left.
Can you not take me there?
Oh, that I can. And the gentleman, too.
Oh.
Why, I beg your pardon. The young lady and I are not together.
Oh, I see. And what would you be wanting to see?
Nothing in particular.
You wouldn't be interested in miniatures now, would you?
Please, monsieur, take me to the Egyptian room.
Well, I can't now. Speak up, man. Let me hear your voice again.
What is my voice to you?
It is the same. You tried to steal that miniature last night. You tried to strangle me. You come along with me.
Pierre, the old man has recognized you.
Yes, so he has.
That I have, all right. Now, come along.
Not now. I have another idea. Oh.
Pierre, you have killed this old man.
I have merely destroyed a witness. Come, Yvonne. Now we will get the miniature.
Well, Patrick Cork has ignored your district attorney's warning. We'll learn the outcome and hear the surprising developments of this case in just a moment. But first, men, I think you'll agree that the quick way to succeed in your business is to look successful. For as you know, men who look successful, men who are well-groomed and confident, get attention mighty fast.
And Vitalis helps you to look successful, helps you to look like a winner so that you're always ready when opportunity comes your way. Because Vitalis gives you good-looking, well-groomed hair. You see, Vitalis makes your hair obey your comb, makes it lie smoothly and smartly in place, and makes it stay in place all day long, all evening, but with none of that offensive, gooey, patent leather shine you see on some men's hair. Instead, Vitalis gives your hair a natural look, a really well-groomed look.
So men, use Vitalis and have the kind of handsome hair that helps you register a winning impression in your business contacts and in your social contacts, too. Use Vitalis and have the kind of good-looking hair that helps win you the respect of men and the admiration of women. Why don't you get a bottle of Vitalis the next time you're in a drugstore. Now, back to your district attorney.
Sergeant Goshen of the 4th Precinct is on the phone. He's calling from the museum.
That's all right. I'll take it here.
Hey, I'll bet you the trap's sprung, Chief.
Hello?
Worse than that, Harrington.
Hello, Sergeant. Yes? What? The miniature's gone? Cork is injured?
What?
Seriously? Yes, well, get him to the hospital. Get him the best specialist in the city. Yes, I'll be there as soon as I can. Yes, all right. Goodbye.
What happened, Chief? I thought you told the old geezer to lay off.
Yes, I did. But I should have known a man can't forget a lifetime of training in an emergency. He tried to stop the thieves. A man and a woman with a French accent.
And got strangled again.
No, Harrington. This time the thief used a cane saw. Ran him through.
What? Well, what are we waiting for, Chief? They've grabbed the bait. Let's go get them.
Come into the study, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Was it necessary to bring your wife to my home?
Yes, we are leaving the city immediately, Monsieur Anderson.
Monsieur, give us the money and let us go quickly.
Why? Why are you in such a hurry? What happened at the museum? Did you bungle again?
No, this time I have the miniature. But unfortunately...
Unfortunately what?
Unfortunately, the watchman recognized me and tried to prevent our escape.
Oh, how could he? Cork is on the night shift.
It would seem that he was transferred to the day shift.
Ah, yes, it would. Did you use that silk cord again?
No. I had only my cane saw.
You murdered the guard?
There was nothing else to do.
Well, you shouldn't have come here after doing a thing like that. I have no intention of getting mixed up in a murder.
It is too late for that, monsieur. You are mixed up with us.
And if we are caught, you also will pay for the crime.
I have your $5,000. Give me the miniature.
I beg your pardon, monsieur. Now we need $10,000.
Yes. Murder is a little more expensive.
You agreed to sell the miniature for $5,000. I haven't $10,000 and I can't raise it.
How much money have you, Monsieur Anderson?
$5,000. That's all I agreed to pay, and that's all you'll get.
Pierre, we are wasting time. Take the money and let us get out of here.
Here is the miniature. Now, where is the money?
The money is in my private safe, over here.
Ah, private vault for all their treasures. This is not the first time you have robbed your museum.
That is my business.
It seems practice in crime has steeled your nerves, monsieur. Pierre, someone is at the door.
Whom are you expecting? Is this some trick, monsieur?
I'm not expecting anyone. But the servants are off, and I'll have to answer the door. My car is out front. Whoever it is will know I'm at home.
Then go to the door. Get rid of them.
Oh, it may be some friend, I'll have to admit for a moment. Here, you must hide. Get in the vault, quickly, both of you.
Don't be ridiculous, monsieur.
Hurry, get in that vault. Oh, here. Take this miniature with you.
We have no intention of getting into your boat. It would kill us both.
For once, Yvonne, you are right. However, we will take the miniature.
I've no time to argue with you. You involved me in one murder.
It is a trap. He has a gun.
A trap or not, get in that vault. It all depends on how badly you bungled. If it's the police, if they followed you here... Get in, do you hear me, madam?
You wouldn't dare use that gun, monsieur.
Wouldn't I?
I think he would, Yvonne. Come.
You know I would. Get in that vault.
Good afternoon, Mr. Anderson.
Mr. District Attorney.
Yes, and my secretary and assistant, Miss Miller.
How do you do, Mr. Anderson?
How do you do? You mind if we come in? The snow is rather wet.
Oh, of course.
Thank you.
I suppose you're here for some more information about the Holbein miniature.
The miniature has been stolen, Mr. Anderson.
What? Why, how did it happen? Have the police any clues?
Oh, yes. Yes, there were quite a number of clues. Oh, I see you have a nice fire going in your study. Suppose we talk in there.
Oh, yes, of course. This is terrible. I want to help in every way I can.
Oh, Mr. Anderson, you're so pale. Are you sure your cold hasn't turned to grip?
No, I Don't think so?
Perhaps you'd like a drink. I know this must be very upsetting for you.
Oh, yes, I believe I will. Oh, will you join me? The whiskey is right here. Or rye, if you prefer. Some soda?
Thank you. But if you don't mind, I'll have a plain glass of water.
Oh, yes, cook.
Well, that'll be enough water, thank you.
Oh,
Clumsy of me. I've spilled the water all over your hands.
Quite all right, no harm.
Chief, you were right. Look at Mr. Anderson's hands.
What about my hand?
Look at them, Anderson.
Why, they're turning purple.
He's had the miniature in his hands, Chief. It must be somewhere in this house.
What's the meaning of this? What are you talking about? How dare you insist?
Save your indignation, Anderson. Where is the man with the French accent and his woman accomplice?
Oh, I don't know. I know nothing about them.
We'll get them. The guard described them.
Well, then catch them. Why come here and accuse me?
Your telltale hand.
You've had the miniature in your hands.
That's a lie. This purple in my hands means nothing. It isn't proof of anything.
Sufficient proof to place you under arrest, Mr. Anderson.
Arrest? You're going to arrest me?
Yes. And on the basis of evidence I already have, I'll get a warrant to search this house for the miniature.
You can't. You have no right.
A perfectly legal right. Well, will you come with us of your own free will? Or must I call in my special investigator and have him handcuff you?
Handcuff? Oh, no. I'm not going, and you won't take me.
Chief, he's carrying a gun.
Yes, so I see. You'd better hand over that gun, Anderson. It's rather late in life for you to start making murder your business.
Don't make me kill you. I'm getting away, that's all. Now, don't follow me. I'm going to get away.
You ain't going, no.
All right, Harrington, not too rough with him.
I'm trying to be as gentle as I can. Boy, did I have a time getting in the back way.
But I didn't do it. I didn't tell him to kill poor old Cork. I'm not to blame.
You're a pretty cold-blooded man, Mr. Anderson. But a judge and jury will decide that. And I think I know how they'll decide. Oh, Harrington, just as soon as you've got the handcuffs on him, come over here to this vault. I think that's where we'll find Mr. Anderson's two companions in crime.
Before your district attorney tells you when and why he first suspected Anderson and the means he used to prove his guilt, here's a special message for every woman listening in tonight. Now, you want your husband or your sweetheart to do all he can to keep the hair he has, don't you? Then tell him about Vitalis and the famous 60-second workout.
Yes, tell him to use Vitalis and the speedy 60-second workout because it helps a man to keep the hair he still has. For you see, men, the easy Vitalis workout helps in 4 different ways. 4 very important ways. It loosens up your tight, dry scalp and really gives your hair a chance. It stimulates the circulation. It routs unsightly loose dandruff, and it helps prevent excessive falling hair.
So, men, why don't you start using Vitalis and have good-looking, well-groomed hair every day? Use Vitalis in that easy, speedy workout, and let it help you to keep the hair you still have. Ask your druggist for a bottle of Vitalis tomorrow or even tonight. And now, here is your district attorney.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, fortunately, Patrick Cork did not die. But Anderson, Pierre, and Yvonne were tried, convicted, and received long prison sentences for their crimes.
Oh, Chief, I think it was grand you knew Pierre and Yvonne were in that safe.
Well, muddy footprints leading to the vault gave me that clue.
Oh, and Chief, hadn't you better tell our audience why you suspected Anderson?
Yes. His one simple lie caused us to investigate him. We soon discovered other art treasures had vanished from the museum and had been unreported. We learned that the city trustees were investigating and had already given Anderson a notice of dismissal as of January 1st. That and a need of money prompted him to take one last desperate chance.
Yeah, Chief, and the trap you set for him was something. Boy, you sure caught him purple-handed.
Yes, Harrington. And that was simply a matter of sprinkling the miniature with an almost invisible aniline powder dye, which causes the hands of anyone touching it to turn purple if they come in contact with water.
What about next week, Chief?
Well, next week, ladies and gentlemen, we again have quite a different case and one of the most baffling sagas of double murder this office was ever called upon to solve. The case of the bittersweet. So don't miss the case of the bittersweet at the same time next week. Until then, thank you and good night. And remember, buy defense savings bonds and stamps.
The names of all characters in tonight's dramatization are fictitious, and any resemblance to names of living persons or actual places is purely coincidental. Jay Jostyn was featured in the title role, Len Doyle as Harrington, Vicky Vola as Miss Miller. The music was under the direction of Peter Van Steeden, and the author was Jerry McGill. Mr. District Attorney is brought to you by the Bristol-Myers Company, makers of Vitalis, the largest selling preparation of its kind for keeping your hair well groomed. Just think of the word vital and add IS. Vitalis, Vitalis for your hair. This is the Red Network of the National Broadcasting Company.
I used Vitalis for a lot of years. That was interesting stuff. December 10th, 1941, 82 years ago, Mr. District Attorney here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Up next, we'll let Bob Bailey and Virginia Gregg let George do it.
The welcome sound we've long been waiting for. The United States Third Fleet shelling Tokyo Bay. And paper helped make it possible. Yes, paper, your waste paper, makes the cylindrical cases in which virtually all shells are shipped from factory to fighting zone. When you burn paper, you destroy essential war material. But when you salvage waste paper, you help end a #1 war material shortage. Save every scrap of paper. Save wastebasket scraps, magazines and books, newspapers, brown paper and bags, corrugated boxes. Bundle them separately, turn them in regularly.
This transcribed announcement from the War Production Board is brought to you as a public service.
Now let's head to another West Coast program. Bob Bailey, Virginia Gregg, in an episode of Let George Do It called The Last Payoff. This was originally broadcast 72 years ago, December 10th, 1951. And let's listen, shall we?
Personal notice. Danger's my stock and trade. If the job's too tough for you to handle, you got a job for me, George Valentine. Write full details.
Standard Oil Company of California invites you to Let George Do It. In just a moment, we'll begin tonight's adventure of George Valentine. Say, did you forget a Christmas present for your car? One of the nicest gifts I know is a complete changeover to new RPM motor oil, the oil that doubles engine life between major overhauls due to lubrication. Don't forget to replace the filter element, too. You'll be giving yourself a gift of smoother driving and top engine protection all year round by getting new RPM motor oil at independent Chevron gas stations or standard stations where they say and mean, we take better care of your car. And now, tonight's story, The Last Payoff, another adventure of George Valentine.
Hey, who did this? What in the... torn apart. Why? Who? What are they trying to do to me? What's that guy's name again? Valdez? Valentine.
That's it. George Valentine.
Okay, Bartell. Stop shaking. So somebody ransacked your place here.
And yet you say nothing was taken.
Yeah, that's right, Miss Brooks.
Well?
Well, don't you understand? It's why did anybody take this place apart? What are they trying to do to me?
What do you mean do to you?
I can't afford any trouble. I'm an ex-con.
Oh, a little matter you forgot to mention when you wrote to me, eh, Buster?
Yeah, I forgot. Isn't that terrible? I figured I'm entitled to get a little help like any other human being. Wasn't that a lot of nerve for me to think that?
Okay. Skip the dramatics. What were you in jail for?
I stole a car. Got drunk and stole a car. It was my second offense. Spent 18 months in the pen. So I figured I'd find me a small town somewhere and make a new start.
Why this particular small town, Linfield?
Because I knew someone here. Someone I thought might give me a hand.
Clear that up, will you?
Man, my wife and I met in Chicago. That's where I come from. Big fat guy. Nice. Good connections. John Logan. We hit it off fine. Said if I ever needed help, I should look him up.
I suppose your wife is here with you.
You suppose wrong, lady. She left me flat while I was in jail. She's someplace in Europe on the chorus line of a girlies show. Ruthie is the loyal kind.
Why make a big mystery of all this? A sneak thief got in here, you surprised him, he knocked you out and ran.
No, that's not the answer, Valentine. Somebody was looking for something special. Looked in every little place. Even went through my pockets when I was dead to the world. Ripped open the lining of my jacket. Look. See?
Uh-huh.
The only thing I own that's worth anything is this wristwatch. It's a good one. But the guy didn't take it, did he? No, it was no sneak thief. But who else could it be? And why?
I don't suppose your landlady noticed any strange men prowling around here.
No. As I figure it, whoever it was climbed in through the window.
Hey, tell me, how long has it been raining hard like this?
Oh, a couple of days now. This time of the year, it always rains in this place, they tell me.
What are you driving at, George?
Those footprints near the window. You're pretty small, Bartell.
That's what I meant. Those aren't my footprints. Must be the man who ransacked my room.
Some kind of red clay. Must have been somewhere where there's red clay.
It's not too much to go on.
No. Say, Bartell, suppose you tell me about this Mr. Logan, the good Samaritan turned sour.
Well, it isn't really like that. I just haven't been able to get a hold of him yet. I spoke to Mrs. Logan a couple of times. She said she'd give him a message.
Do you think he has anything to do with any of this? He seems to be the only one you know here in Linfield.
That's what's driving me batty. I don't know why anybody should be interested in anything I might have.
Tell me, do you think Mr. Logan might be home now?
I don't know. I saw him this morning.
You did?
Yeah, I was on a bus, and it passes the back of his house. I noticed Mr. Logan burning something in the incinerator in his backyard. So I thought, here's my chance to talk to him.
Yeah? Go on.
Well, by the time I got off the bus, Mr. Logan was gone. I asked his wife where he went, and she said downtown. I went to his office, figuring I'd just barge in and get to see him once and for all. But he wasn't there. And the girl said she didn't know where he might be.
The elusive Mr. Logan.
I know all this sounds mixed up and not too important, Valentine, but it's important to me. I've got to know what's going on. I want to go straight. I don't want any trouble. I don't have much money, but I'll pay what I can for you to help me.
All right, Bartown, you got me curious. You stay here. Maybe I can find out something.
No, Mr. Valentine. Mr. Reese and I are quite through talking.
Oh, Mrs. Logan, I could wait in the next room.
Oh, no, it's all right, young man. Mrs. Logan is right. Talking doesn't do much good. You will convey my message to Mr. Logan, won't you?
Of course. Although, frankly, I don't understand it.
He'll understand. That's the important thing. And I know he'll listen to you very carefully.
Really?
Oh, you might also tell him I'm a patient man. Very patient. But my patience is wearing thin.
I'll tell him.
I know he'll understand that. Good day. No. I'll let myself out.
Now, where were we before we were interrupted by Mr. Reese?
You assured me you didn't know a thing about that client of mine, Mr. Bartell.
That's right. And I certainly didn't know a thing about his wife, his young, pretty wife, as I gather now.
Mm-hmm. So, that's that, I guess.
Surely, Mr. Valentine, if you really want to know about Mr. Bartell, our local police will help you. Our sheriff is a very efficient man.
Well, as a matter of fact, my assistant, Miss Brooks, is checking that angle. I asked her to call me back here, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
You have no idea where Mr. Logan might be right now?
Oh, yes. He's out buying a raincoat.
A raincoat?
Well, he was simply soaked when he got to the office this morning, so I told him I wasn't going to have him come down with a cold or worse. So he's out buying a raincoat.
I see.
Would you like a cup of tea, Mr. Valentine? If you're going to wait.
No, thanks. Don't bother.
I'm afraid I'm a very poor hostess, but I have been rather upset.
Really?
I know it can't possibly matter to you, but Mr. Logan has been so, well, not himself lately, so nervous. I know it's ridiculous because money is no problem with us. But now he seems to be worried about owing people money. People like Mr. Reese. This is one time he won't listen to me, talk to me about it. Perhaps I could help. I'm sorry.
Tell you what. Maybe we will have that cup of tea. It might cheer up both of us. And this constant rain might be good to have a cup of...
Excuse me. Hello.
Hello. May I speak to Mr. Valentine, please? This is Claire Brooks.
Of course. Just a minute. It's for you, Mr. Valentine.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, Brooksy, did you find anything about our friend Bartell?
No, George. I'm afraid the police are in too much of a dither to be much help.
Dither? What are you talking about?
Most of them are down at the only place in town where there's clay.
What?
That's right, red clay. And, George, there's been a murder there.
The car's parked right over there, George.
I didn't want to talk in front of Mrs. Logan, but tell me more about the murder. Who was the victim?
Police don't know yet. A weasel-faced little man who was seen coming here to Linfield every month or so for almost a year.
Yeah?
Very interesting thing, George. There were some footprints leading away from the clay pits. Large footprints.
Our ransacking friend, maybe, huh?
It could be. Oh, there was something else.
Oh, what?
Some woman walking in the street a couple of 100 yards away from the clay pits was scared by a man hurrying away from there. A big fat man in a dark blue raincoat, she said. Or at least that's what a boy who runs a service station not far from there reported.
Uh-huh. Come on.
Come on, where?
This way.
But that goes to the Logan's backyard. George, what?
I'm playing a long shot, Angel.
Ooh.
Careful of the puddles. Bartell told us he saw Mr. Logan burning something in the incinerator this morning, didn't he?
Well, yes.
And Logan is a big man, and his wife told me he's buying a new raincoat this morning. Well, what happened to his old one?
Oh, there's the incinerator over there.
Yeah, now wait. Now, here's some kind of a poker. Yeah, this'll do.
You see anything, George?
Everything pretty well burned to ashes. Everything seemed...
What is it?
Oh, it's a piece of metal. Belt buckle. Still covered with some cloth. Blue cloth. That's it, all right. Logan burned his dark blue raincoat.
George, I thought you wanted to go to the police station. I told you before it's down the other block.
I know, but I'm still playing that long shot.
Now, what's that supposed to mean?
Just be patient, please, Angel. That clothing store down there, Wilson's. That looks like the largest one in town.
All right, I agree. But what does that
Let's
have
pass it just once again, and then we'll...
Oh. All right, so you can stop on a dime. Now what?
That big fat man just coming out in a brand new yellow raincoat.
Mr. Logan?
I wouldn't be surprised. Stay here, Angel. I still have a client, remember? I want to talk to Logan before we stick the police on him.
Now, George, be careful with him.
Sure, okay. Mr. Logan? Mr. Logan, wait a minute. Hey, please, wait.
What do you want? I don't know you.
Well, the name's George Valentine.
Never heard of you. Please, I'm in a hurry. I'm very busy.
I came to Linfield because a man named Bartell wrote to me.
What? I'll kill you. I'll kill you with my bare hands.
Now, take it easy, friend. You're out of your class.
What else do you want from me? Haven't you done enough?
Huh?
Leave me alone. Leave me alone.
I just want some straight answers to a few questions, that's all. We can talk right there in that car.
Oh.
Look at your shoes, Mr. Logan.
What?
There are still traces of red clay on them, see?
No.
I want to talk to you about a clay pit. And murder, Mr. Logan. Now will you come along?
Yes. Yes, I'll go with you. I must talk to somebody. Anybody. Please talk to me. Help me. Please help me.
just a moment, we'll return to tonight's adventure of George Valentine. Over the hills and through the woods to Grandmother's house we go. That's a well-known saying that has always been appropriate during the holiday season. This year, perhaps you'll be one of the many thousands of Western motorists who'll be driving home for Christmas and New Year's, driving over the hills and through the woods. That's why I think this is an especially good time to remind you that for top performance under all driving conditions, for the kind of driving you do, where you do it, your car needs a gasoline with many different performance qualities. Any gasoline can be made to stress one performance feature at the expense of others, but Chevron Supreme is designed to give you not one, not two, but all 8 high-performance qualities in correct balance. Power, warm-up, starting, mileage, anti-knock, vapor lock prevention, acceleration, and area blending. You'll feel the difference from the very first tankful of Chevron Supreme. For smoother, all-around top performance, be sure to get the gas that gives you all 8. Just drive in and say, fill her up with Chevron Supreme at any standard station or independent Chevron gas station where they say and mean, we take better care of your car. An ex-convict, Ray Bartell, pleads that he's trying to go straight and hires you to find out who ransacked his room and why. Only the case is complicated by the murder of a man the police haven't been able to identify, and the fact that the leading suspect is one of the town's leading citizens, John Logan. And as you sit with him in your car on a rain-swept street, you know he's close to the breaking point. That is, if your name is George Valentine.
If you're sort of a private detective, Mr. Valentine, then you're just what I may need. And you, Miss Brooks, you seem so understanding. It's been so long since I could really talk to anybody.
Please, Mr. Logan, you must calm down.
Mrs. Logan is a fine woman. Fine and good, but I couldn't talk to her, not after what I've done to her.
Now, look, we're not going to get anywhere until you get hold of yourself and tell us what happened in some sort of order.
Things happen in life in any order. Do they make any sense?
Mr. Logan, you were seen leaving the clay pits. Your footprints there were photographed by the police.
Don't you understand? I didn't kill Joe. When I got there, Joe was already dead.
Oh, so that was the name of the murdered man. The police were unable to identify him.
Joe, that was the only name he ever gave me. You'd think for all the money he got from me, he'd at least give me his full name. Joe the collector. Joe the tormentor. Joe.
Cut that out, Mr. Logan.
Joe. Yes, I'm sorry.
All right, then. When did you first meet this Joe, whoever he is?
When I first made such a fool of myself over Ruthie.
Ruthie Bartell?
I have no excuse for being a fool, but I also have suffered enough so I don't have to be kicked around anymore.
Where does Joe fit in?
Well, you see, back in those days, I saw Joe following me around, and I realized that somebody had snapped a picture of Ruthie and me. I was sure that Joe was a detective hired by my wife. Of course, I stopped seeing Ruthie. I died 1,000 deaths waiting for the showdown.
But it never came, huh? Not from Mrs. Logan, is that it?
Yes, I was wrong about who we worked for, you see, because then I got a blackmail note presented to me by Joe. I was to pay and go on paying each month.
And you paid and paid.
What else could I do? I was already a failure as far as my wife is concerned. I didn't tell her, but I made bad, stupid deals, and I gambled money away with that Carl Reese.
Reese?
Yeah. Best I could only pay back half my debts, but if Mrs. Logan, Martha, found out about Ruthie, she'd never forgive me. I couldn't let her know that, don't you see?
Well, didn't you suspect Bartell, Ruthie's husband?
I did, but by then he was in prison. I didn't know what to think. And I decided Joe was the only blackmailer. I can't let Martha find out about Ruthie. The police mustn't tie me to any of this. They mustn't.
I'm afraid that's sort of wishful thinking, Mr. Logan.
Huh?
They'll find out that you just bought this new raincoat, that you burned your old one, and they'll be curious, to say the least. You went right from the clay pits to Bartell's, ransacked his room looking for the blackmail evidence, whatever that was. Isn't that right?
Yes. You see, Joe got in touch with me yesterday afternoon. I thought I was all through paying him. He promised me I was, but you're never through, are you?
I'm afraid not, Mr. Logan.
Told me to come out to that little shack in the clay pits. That's where the payoff always took place out there. And when I got there, he was dead. Shot to death.
What did you do?
Oh, well, I suddenly realized just what an awful spot I was in. Bartell was trying to contact me. Perhaps he was the blackmailer after all. So I had to find the evidence before the police found it.
And did you find it at Bartell's place?
No, not a trace of it. It wasn't on him either. Mr. Valentine, what can I do? How can I get out of this terrible mess?
I'm afraid there's only one thing you can do. Turn yourself over to the police and have the whole thing brought out into the open.
I can't. Martha will never believe me. She'll never forgive me.
George, look.
Huh?
There's a policeman coming over this way.
What's that? Oh, they'll never get me.
Be reasonable, Logan.
They won't.
Hey,
Don't
stop that.
Try
Wait.
to stop me. Don't.
I'll get him.
No, George, the police will catch him.
Hey, wait.
Sorry, officer, I can't.
Hey, stop, I said.
You don't understand. That man will get away.
Yeah, but you're not getting away. You think that sign is just there for amusement? You're overparked here 10 minutes, Mac. Have a ticket.
Don't worry, Valentine. The pickup order is out on Logan. He seems to be our man, all right.
Was there any additional information about this man, Joe, Sheriff?
Not much. Typical blackmailer, shifty, covered his tracks.
Anything on the gun?
We'll know when we find it. 38. 2 bullets fired.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Where are you going, George?
The sheriff's got his murder, but we still have a client, remember?
Gone.
Yeah.
Bartell's gone.
If he beat it, it was just a minute ago.
What?
Yeah, the light bulb is still warm. It must have been just turned off.
But where would...
Okay, Bartell, slow down.
No. Let go of me. I'm not sticking around, Valentine. This place is too hot.
For a blackmailer, you mean?
What?
Never heard the naughty word before, huh? Okay, it has to do with Ruthie and Logan.
Ruthie? You mean that little... And Logan? Well, I don't know anything about it. You're not going to get me in the middle of it. Nobody will...
Oh, now, wait a minute. Try again. But still... And you're going to the Logan home with me, friend, after we pick up one more passenger.
Yes, I'm a gambler. Is there anything wrong with being a gambler?
Well, let's leave that to the Kefauver Committee, Reese. But Mr. Logan owed you a large gambling debt, didn't he?
As a matter of fact, he did.
He didn't pay it, huh?
Not yet.
Uh-huh. I think we'd better take a little trip to the Logans, Mr. Reese. This whole thing needs some clear light thrown on it.
He's gone. He's running from the police. But where is he running?
Here, Mrs. Logan. Please drink some of this coffee. Bartell and Reese are in the living room with one of the sheriff's men.
All right, Angel. We'll wait for the sheriff before we talk any more to them.
Thank you, my dear. I wish I could cry like other women. Cry for John and cry for me. Cry because I must have failed him so awfully. He couldn't come to me and talk to me.
You have no idea where he might have gone, Mrs. Logan?
No.
In the state of mind he was in, it would be better if the police knew where he was.
He came in and he told me all he's done about that Mrs. Bartell and all the money he'd paid in blackmail and all the money he owes, as though money were the most important thing in the world. He told me all that and he cried. Mr. Valentine, John isn't a murderer. That much I know.
I hope you're right.
I told him not to run, but he wouldn't listen to me. He packed his bag and he kissed me and he ran out. If they catch up with him and he tries to get away from them, they'll...
All right, Mrs. Logan. The evidence against your husband is quite strong, but maybe we can still help him. Maybe...
Help? Do you think we can? Really?
Joe was a blackmailer. Mr. Logan was being blackmailed. The obvious conclusion was that there was a fight and Mr. Logan killed him.
Well then, George?
But suppose Mr. Logan was right, and Joe was only the go-between, and Joe proved difficult to his employer, the real blackmailer.
But who could that be? How could we ever find that out?
Well, it could be Bartell. Even though he was in prison, he could have kept in contact with Joe.
And all this business about coming here to get a job and going straight is so many lies.
Maybe you're right, Mr. Valentine.
Or perhaps it was even somebody like Mr. Reese who's the real blackmailer.
Mr. Reese?
Aren't you reaching a little now, George?
Well, why? Mr. Logan had quite a bit of money, all right, but not enough to pay all his legal debts and his gambling debt, which, by the way, couldn't be collected legally. So Mr. Reese could take a rather unorthodox but effective way of collecting his debt by blackmailing the money out of your husband, Mrs. Logan.
And there could be others then who might possibly be the blackmailers. John wouldn't be the only one with the motive for killing Joe.
That's exactly what I meant.
Why bring me here, Sheriff?
Never mind.
John.
They've caught up with him, George.
Well, this is it, Brooksy.
All right, Logan. Just sit here.
John, are you all right?
Didn't do it. I didn't kill anybody. No one will believe me.
He already told me about his being blackmailed, and he was running. And that makes him as good a suspect as we need, Valentine.
At this point, I don't know myself what to think.
John, you mustn't say that.
You can leave that valise here, Logan. You won't need it anymore. No. Now, wait.
What?
You were holding on to that valise for dear life. There was no money on the dead blackmailer. Here, let me see what's in it. Ties, rolled shirts, underwear, pajamas, socks, extra suit. All nice and neat. And under it, bedroom slippers and...
And what?
And a gun.
What? Gun?
A .38, 2 bullets missing.
No. John, there must be some awful mistake.
I have an idea. We'll find the gun is the one that killed Joe. And then...
And then it'll put the final coffin nail in the case against you, Mrs. Logan.
George! What did you say, Mr. Valentine?
Yes, you, Mrs. Logan. Your husband was so afraid you might find out about him and Mrs. Bartell, and still it was you who blackmailed him.
How can you say anything like that, George? Why would she do it?
Well, now, that's 2 questions, Angel, and I think I have some pretty definite answers to both.
Well, come on, let's have them.
What's all this?
Well, strangely enough, Sheriff, it's what you said about the valise when you opened it that intrigued me even more than the presence of the gun.
What's that? Will you make sense?
All right, Mr. Logan is a man. More than that, a very upset and distraught man.
Yeah.
Would he stop to pack the valise so carefully? No, he'd just throw some things together. Yeah, a woman packed that bag. She wanted you to run, Mr. Logan.
You're insane.
Think back, Mr. Logan. You didn't really pack that bag, now, did you?
Well, I don't know. I guess maybe I didn't.
And since Mrs. Logan had the gun to put in, she's the one who used it on Joe, the man she hired as the go-between.
Any more proof, Valentine?
A woman identified the fat man running away from the clay pits as wearing a dark blue raincoat.
So what? Logan himself admitted he was there.
How could you tell the color in the dark?
That's right. And it was raining. It would just look black.
Only one woman could say what she did. The wife who knew the color of the raincoat her husband wore. And the reason you were out there, Mrs. Logan, is because you had that argument with Joe and you killed him.
Make him stop saying that, John, please.
No, let him go on.
I was wondering why you were so careful to point attention to your husband having to buy a new raincoat.
But what would be the motive, Valentine? A wife blackmailing her own husband?
Oh, we've discussed some unusual causes for blackmail before, haven't we, Mrs. Logan? And you understood very well. A little matter of revenge. Your husband failed you, squandered your money, played around. And you had to get your revenge. And you did. Made his life a hell.
Martha, you didn't. Tell him you didn't.
And you got most of the money, too, didn't you? But you killed Joe. And in desperation tried to blame your husband for his murder, and you almost succeeded.
Martha, don't let him go on saying...
And now that we know what to look for, we'll find the money, Mrs. Logan, and then...
Stop it!
Martha.
Stop looking at me like that. You cheat. You silly fool. I'm glad. Whatever torture I brought you, I'm glad you understand. I hate you. Hate you.
George, there isn't any reason to stay here any longer. A house can be so cold when hate has lived in it.
Yeah, Brooksy, we're going. I still have to straighten out something with my client.
Holiday time is Jingle Bell time, and a good time to remind you that new RPM motor oil doubles engine life between major overhauls due to lubrication, and more than meets the heavy-duty motor oil requirements of every car manufacturer. New RPM helps cut unnecessary repair bills and puts the jingle back in your pocket where it belongs. Get new RPM motor oil for your car at independent Chevron gas stations and standard stations where they say and mean... we take better care of your car.
An apology?
Yeah. Frankly, Bartell, I didn't buy that. I want to go straight, but somebody won't let me routine.
But then why did you go to work for me?
Mr. Valentine just has a deep aversion to being led down the garden path.
Yep. Life is full of surprises, all right. You did come to Linfield just to see a kindly friend of the family.
Yeah. Ruthie was a doll, a real doll. But then look at Mrs. Logan, what she did to her husband. I tell you, I learned one thing.
Huh?
Stay away from women, friend. All women. Far away.
You don't say.
Have nothing to do with them, especially those that look cute and smile sweet.
Are you coming, George?
What's the matter, Angel? He doesn't mean you.
No, of course not.
Well, that's different. Hey, wait a minute. What's the matter with my smile?
Tonight's adventure of George Valentine has been brought to you by Standard Oil Company of California on behalf of independent Chevron gas stations and Standard stations throughout the West. Robert Bailey is starred as George with Virginia Gregg as Brooksy. Let George Do It was written by David Victor and Jackson Gillis and directed by Kenneth Webb. Lee Patrick was heard as Mrs. Logan, Kenny Ross as Logan, Byron Kane as Bartell, Hal K. Dawson as Reese, and Joe Forte as the sheriff. The music is composed and presented by Eddie Dunstetter. Your announcer, John Heaston. Listen again next week, same time, same station, to Let George Do It. Let George Do It is heard overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. This is the Mutual Don Lee Broadcasting System.
Bob Bailey, Virginia Gregg, Let George Do It, from 72 years ago, December 10th, 1951, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Get back to comedies tomorrow, a 1945 episode of Fibber McGee and Molly, a 46 episode of The Great Gildersleeve, a 1952 episode of Father Knows Best, a 1953 episode of Phil Harris and Alice Faye, and another 1941 episode of the latest adventures from Pine Ridge, Arkansas, and Lum and Abner. And they now have a delivery truck for their bread. That'll all be coming up mañana. But coming up next, an episode of Counterspy.
Ladies, there's still a shortage of fats to make soap. So save and sell every pound of used kitchen fats. And remember, you get more money for used fat today, so keep saving it and keep selling it. Waste fat makes soap, so don't waste fat. Fill a tin and turn it in.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I call a spade and stop being an entertainer? When this war came, our soldiers left their homes to defend yours. You stayed comfortably in your own home during the war with a roof over your head. They lived in foxholes, if they lived. Now, these veterans can't find homes to live in. Remember, if it weren't for them leaving their homes to protect yours, you might not have yours right now. So give them a break, will you? Good night.
Good night. Okay, now, we head back to December 10th, 1950, and it is an episode of Counterspy. I have told this before, but I think it bears reminding you that Phillips H. Lords did not have a great relationship with the FBI, so much so that the show that was originally about the FBI back in the 1930s, G-Men, became gangbusters and dealt with more local and state police than the federal guys. Well, in 1942, he created his own fictional group, Counterspy, and that show ran, I think it was until 1952, 53. This episode from 1950, December 10th, 73 years ago, is the case of the Infiltrating Agents.
The National Broadcasting Company presents Counterspy.
Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy.
Counterspy. Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy.
Harding, Counterspy, calling Washington.
United States Counterspy. Especially appointed to investigate and combat the enemies of our country, both at home and abroad.
These Counterspy reports to the American people are brought to you each week at this time. Now, the case of the infiltrating agents.
From Carter, Counterspy Field Office, American Embassy, Buenos Aires. To Counterspy Headquarters, Washington. Urgent attention, Mr. Harding personally. Have just learned that Ivors Sanderson, inactive here for the past 2 years, has booked passage on 7 p.m. plane north. Jones, Counterspy Field Office, Nuevo Laredo, Mexico, to Mr. Harding, Washington. Believed man answering description of Ivors Sanderson got off plane here this morning.
Harding to all Southern Field Offices. 24-hour alert ordered until further notice. Am flying to Laredo, Texas. Will make specific assignments upon arrival.
You're okay, Pepita. Plenty okay.
How many times I have to tell you my name is not Pepita? Who is this Pepita? Some other girl you like better, huh?
No, Pepita, you're the only girl in the world. At least the only girl in Nuevo Laredo. Well, bottoms up.
Harry, I think you have too much already.
No, it's never too much. Bottoms up.
Oh. Harry, you take drink too all of a sudden. Oh, come on, Harry, sweetheart, baby, we go.
Go? Where? What's the matter with this place?
We go home.
Oh, no, Pepita, I'm having too much fun. I like Mexico. I don't want to go back to Dallas. There's not this much fun in Dallas.
You don't go back to Dallas. I mean my home.
Oh. Why'd you say so? Hey, waiter. Mozo!
Sí, señor.
Dame la cuenta.
7 pesos.
$7.
Sí.
Okay, here you are, bud. Keep the change. Keep it. I'm a sport.
Muchas gracias, señor. Muchas gracias.
All right.
Come, Harry.
You know, you're a sweet kid, Pepita. You're an awful sweet kid.
The name is not Pepita.
You're still a sweet kid.
Oh, come, you lean on me. I will open it the door.
That's a good girl. You open it the door, hmm?
Yeah. Okay, come.
You know, Pepita, I'm going to miss you when I go back to Dallas.
Well, you don't go back till tomorrow.
I'm going to miss you anyway. Yeah, here's my car.
Oh, we don't have to drive to my house.
Oh, we don't?
No, I live right next door to the saloon.
Hey, that's nice. That's convenient, too, huh?
Right here. We go in.
Yeah, that's good.
Come in, Harry.
It's dark. It's dark in here, Pepita.
I will turn it on the light.
It's better. Much better. Hey, look, a nice little old comfortable chair. Isn't that a wonderful sight? Nice little old easy chair.
Harry?
Good night, Pepita.
Harry. Harry, wake up. Harry. Okay, sleep. Carl.
Yeah, all right. Is it all right?
Yes, all right. I wonder, does he have much money with him? He should.
Never mind how much money he's got. Leave it.
Carl.
Leave the money alone.
All right, but it's a shame. Here. Here are the keys to his car.
Good.
The car is big Oldsmobile, right outside. License Texas JW360.
Stay here. I'll be back in a little while. Mr. Sanderson?
Mr. Sanderson.
Yes, here. Come on, Carl. Get out.
But mustn't we drive the car to the garage? That has been the usual procedure.
Get out.
Yes, all right. Get out. We do everything fine for months and months. Perfect. And along comes word from Buenos Aires, and poof, everything has changed. Nothing is good. Why didn't you remain in Buenos Aires?
Because our superiors believe this is too important for you to handle.
Too important for me to handle, huh? What have I been handling that was not important?
Yes, but not as important as this.
In 5 or 6 hours, the man will wake up. We must have the car back by then so he can be on his way. If we must take off the tires and put the stuff inside as usual, we'll have to get it to the garage quickly.
No, the merchandise does not go into the tires.
What's the matter with the tires? We're putting it in the tires all along.
I don't like what you've been doing all along, Carl.
Please. You forget my contribution.
Is that so?
That is so. It was me, Carl, who thought of finding these tourists, having them innocently smuggle the material across the border in their cars. It was me alone.
You know, this job is too much for you.
Oh, now something big comes along. It's too much.
This is no bigger than usual.
Ha! You weren't sent from Buenos Aires for something no bigger than usual, I know.
Do you?
Of course I know.
What, for instance?
It is plans in microfilm to the organization to infiltrate the area of the new hydrogen bomb plant in South Carolina. Plans for our people to establish themselves as residents and get employment in the construction work. And later, when construction is finished in the plant itself. Isn't that right?
Very right.
You see, I know.
That's too bad, Carl.
Mr. Sanderson, no.
I'm sorry, Carl.
No, please, I didn't know. I only guessed.
Well, you guessed too well,
Please,
then.
don't kill me, please!
A little later or a little sooner, it didn't make any difference, Carl. You were not to be trusted.
Yes?
Here are the keys. The car is ready. Put the keys back in his pocket.
Who are you? What is Carl?
Carl has been transferred.
Transfer?
Yes, transferred to another area. Put the keys in the man's pocket. Everything is ready.
To Braden, Counterspy Headquarters, Washington. Advise you handle Honolulu and San Francisco matters yourself. Don't know how long I'll be here. No break as yet. Case still requires my personal attention.
Harding.
Yes, I'll be right with you. Signed, David Harding, Counterspy Temporary Field Office, Laredo, Texas. Yeah?
That Oldsmobile with the Texas plates JW360 just left the Mexican side and started across the International Bridge.
Oh, good.
You want to step over to the window, Chief? Yeah, here it comes, Mr. Harding.
No, I think it ought to have a regular customs examination right down the line.
Okay, I'll take care of it myself.
Make it look regular, just in case we're being watched.
Right. Here it comes.
Oh, I'll wait inside. Tell the driver I want to see.
Right. Good morning, sir.
What's good about it? Ooh.
Rough night?
Rough. It was brutal. My bags are in the trunk. I've got nothing to declare. I didn't buy anything.
Nothing at all to declare?
Nothing except what I ate and drank. I'll open it up.
Give me the keys, mister. I'll open it. The man inside wants to see you.
About what?
Well, you'll have to ask him. One standing right inside the door.
All right. Did you want to see me? Hello, Mr. Harding.
Hello, Peter. How'd it go?
As expected. This girl, Pepita, picked me up in the cafe. We had a few drinks. When she thought I was loaded, she took me to her place. When it looked like I passed out, she called in a friend named Carl.
Yeah.
They lifted the car keys off me, and Carl left. 5 or 6 hours later, she returned my car keys.
So, our suspicions are confirmed.
I think that's been the pattern all the while, Chief.
What do you think they hid in the car?
I don't know. I didn't want to make too close an examination.
Well, we ought to be able to find it.
Anything new on Sanderson?
Nothing other than we're afraid he slipped into this country.
Mm-hmm.
So start out for Dallas, Peters, and make those stops we talked about for lunch, for gas, anything. Well, someplace between here and Dallas, they should try to lift the car from you.
And that's when we nailed them.
I hope so. Now, as insurance, we'll use the alternating method in staying with you. Somebody in front, somebody behind, all the time. Right. I'll try to be in contact with you from time to time.
All right, sir. Everything's okay.
Thanks.
Here are your keys. They pulled out the upholstery padding in the backrest of the rear seat, Chief. Found a roll of microfilm.
Microfilm. So that's it. Did you substitute it in the car?
Yes, sir.
Good. Well, Peters, I think you've spent enough time here. All right. So long. Thanks.
So long. He's got a dangerous job.
You don't know how dangerous. Those people would just as soon kill him as look at him. We've been after this ring for a year now. We haven't made a dent yet. That is until now.
That's a pretty clever gimmick of theirs, storing the films in tourists' cars.
Yes, it's clever, but it's up to us to be a little more clever. Let's find out what's in those microfilms. Yes, sir. Fill her up?
Yep.
How's the oil and water?
They're okay. Just fill her up.
Any sign of them, Peters?
I didn't see a thing, Chief.
I just heard from both your follower and your leader. They didn't see any sign of them either. We developed that microfilm we found in the car.
Big stuff?
Bigger than we figured. That 400-square-mile tract of land up around Aiken, South Carolina.
Hey, that's where the government just announced it's going to build a hydrogen bomb plant.
Exactly. The microfilm has orders to agents at a dozen or more states to get rooted around that project, even before it started. When the call goes out for workers, those agents will be right among them. So I don't think they'll let your car get too far out of their sight, Peter. They must be around someplace.
Maybe they have the setup spotted.
No, I don't think so.
Do you think they're waiting till I get closer to Dallas? Are you getting a customer?
Yeah. Just a minute, ma'am. Be with you in a minute.
All right.
Well, there you are. Filled up.
Okay.
Sure the oil and water okay?
Yeah, they're okay.
Please. I'm in an awful hurry.
Well, but this gentleman
If
here...
the lady's in such a hurry, go right ahead. I've got plenty of time.
Okay. Fill her up, ma'am?
No, I don't need any gasoline. There's something wrong with my car, and I've just got to get to San Antonio.
Well, we'll take a look. Yeah, it's hot, all right. It's boiling.
What is it, the fan belt?
No, fan belt seems to be okay.
I was just driving along, and it started to steam all of a sudden.
Oh, let's check the water. Oh, that's it.
No water?
Can't see any. You got a leak, all right, a bad one there. See how it's dripping down on the pan there?
Oh, will that take long?
Well, long enough. Got to find the leak, then I got to fix it.
Oh, dear, I've got to be in San Antonio by 1 o'clock.
Well, with this car you won't. I got 2 other jobs sitting in the garage back there. Be at least 1:30 before I can get to it.
Is there bus or something?
Well, not one that'll get you to San Antonio by 1 o'clock.
Oh. Sir, could you take me? Are you going to San Antonio?
Me?
Yes, I've just got to be there. I've got an appointment, and I can't miss it.
Well, why don't you give the lady a lift, mister? You got an empty car.
Well, sure. It'd be a pleasure, miss.
Oh, thank you very much. You don't know what a favor this is. I've got to be there. I'll come back tomorrow for the car. Is that all right?
Oh, it'll be ready anytime tomorrow. That'll be 2:06, mister.
Yeah, sure. Here you are.
Thanks. There's no leak in that radiator. The water was drained out. Peters, this may be it.
You are listening to the case of the infiltrating agents on Counterspy. Have you met our new baby yet? I mean NBC's new baby, The Big Show. And what a baby it is. The biggest baby you ever heard. And he's not crying either. Why should he with stars like Tallulah Bankhead, Jimmy Durante, Clifton Webb, Mindy Carson, Meredith Wilson, and a host of others to make him radio's greatest spectacle ever? This Sunday and every Sunday, meet The Big Show. An hour and a half of comedy, music, and drama. All this and Tallulah, too. No wonder it's The Big Show. And Sunday evening over most of these same NBC stations also means the Phil Harris Alice Faye Show with Frankie, Julius, and the entire cast. Now, back to Counterspy.
San Antonio Counterspy Field Office.
Now, this is Harding. Peter stopped at point 14, filling station. Car drove up with a steaming radiator, and a girl, 5'4", 120 pounds, 25 years old, got out and hitched a ride to San Antonio with Peters in his car.
That looks like it.
And does. Check on the license of the car she left here. The 1949 Plymouth two-door, painted maroon, Texas license 3T152.
Okay, Mr. Harding.
Now get that information out to all cars. Because if she's one of the ring, she might try to pull a gun on Peters between here and San Antonio. Take over his car.
Right.
I'm turning the filling station back to the owner right away and joining the parade. But keep shooting out bulletins over the air. We're getting close.
What would a pretty girl like you be in such a hurry to get to San Antonio for, Miss White?
Oh, I've got an appointment.
What kind of an appointment?
Just an appointment.
Okay. Just thought maybe I'd be entitled to know.
Well, you are, but I'm not going to tell you.
All right. I'll mind my own business.
You're sweet, Mr. Peters.
Harry.
Very sweet. Harry. Where do you live?
In Dallas. Where do you live?
In San Antonio.
They're too far apart. Dallas and San Antonio.
I guess they are. Oh, there's a nice lunch stand coming up. Would you like to get some coffee?
I thought you were in a hurry to get to San Antonio.
Well, I am, but a few minutes won't hurt.
It won't hurt you. It won't hurt me.
It's really a very nice place. I've been there before.
Must be. It's kind of busy.
Oh, a lot of people who travel between San Antonio and Laredo know it.
Oh? Yeah.
Thank you.
You know, I was kind of hoping you'd want to stop. I thought, though, that you were in too much of a hurry.
Oh, well, I'm never in too much of a hurry for a cup of coffee.
Good.
Let's sit at the counter. It's quicker, shall we?
Okay. You're the boss.
Hey, Joe, come over here.
This all right?
Oh, this is fine.
You draw one or two?
Yeah, folks. What's your pleasure?
I'll have a cup of coffee and, do you have a menu?
Menu's on the wall, lady.
Oh. A sweet roll. A cup of coffee and a sweet roll.
All right, mister?
I'll have the same.
Draw two. Pastry fair.
What do you do, Mr. Peters?
The name is just plain Harry, and I do fine.
I mean, what do you do for a living?
Oh, I'm in the dairy business.
Oh, that's nice.
Here you are, folks. 2 coffees and a couple of sweet rolls.
Thank you.
Would you like some Hey, buddy.
What's the matter?
Did you drive up here in a black Oldsmobile?
Yes, why?
Well, somebody's driving off in it, and it ain't you.
This is Gloria. Let me talk to Mr. Sanderson. Oh, Harry.
Did you get hold of your father, Gloria?
Well, they're calling him to the phone.
Oh, good. I'm really terribly sorry.
Oh, here's my father. Excuse me, Harry. Hello, Mr. Sanderson.
Well, how's it going, Gloria?
Oh, very well, like clockwork.
Did Jimmy get the car?
Yes, he drove it off about 5 minutes ago.
You don't think the man has any knowledge?
Oh, he doesn't know a thing.
Can you lose him?
He's already lost. A very convenient truck driver offered me a ride into San Antonio.
Good, very good.
I'll see you in about an hour. Goodbye. Well, that's that.
Your father isn't worried, I hope.
Oh, no, he's not worried.
You know, I don't like the idea of you riding to San Antonio in a truck.
Well, I've got to get there some way, and the man was kind enough to... Why don't you come along with us, Harry?
Oh, I'd love to, but the state police said wait here until the highway patrol comes, so I guess I better wait for a report on the car.
Oh, yes, I forgot all about that.
Hey, lady, if you want to ride with me, you'd better come on. I operate on a strict schedule.
Yeah, I'll be right with you. Goodbye, Harry.
Oh, wait a minute. Look, where can I find you in San Antonio?
Oh, you don't want to find me, Harry.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't. There's something I didn't tell you. It wasn't my father on the phone. It was my husband.
Oh.
Goodbye, Harry.
Peters. Hello, Mr. Harding. You got the whole story, Peters? Yes, I phoned in. Was someone able to stay behind my car? Michael stuck with it all the way.
He reported a short, curly-haired man about 30 grabbed it.
I didn't get a look at him.
Well, he drove up the highway to a few miles north of Divine. Pulled off on a side road. He apparently lifted the stuff out of the back seat. And 5 minutes later, a Ford drove up. Michaels reported the curly-haired man got in, headed for San Antonio.
Their timing is perfect.
Yeah. Well, what about the girl?
Well, Jones' truck pulled into the restaurant, and he put on a big act of sympathy and offered her a ride to San Antonio, and she took it.
Good for Jones. We'll hear from him just as soon as he drops her.
She won't get out any place near where she's going.
Well, there's an agent behind Jones, isn't there?
Yes. He'll pick her up on foot. Now, we checked on the car that she left behind at the filling station. It was rented at San Antonio.
Oh. Well, I guess we're getting right on top of it, Peters.
We sure are, Dave. And we better nail them this time.
We'll get them. This is their last trip.
Yes? Who is it?
It's me, Gloria.
Well, hello, Gloria.
Mr. Sanderson.
Come in, come in.
Well, how'd you like that for turning a trick?
It came off very well.
The poor man never knew what hit him. He'll find his car in a few hours. He'll go on back to Dallas and write the whole thing off as a streak of bad luck.
Where did the truck driver leave you?
Well, I told him I wanted to get out near the Gunther. He pulled that big 10-ton truck right up in front of the hotel and dropped him.
Now, you're positive no one was behind you?
Oh, no one. I walked 3 blocks, hopped the cab, and here I am.
Good work.
Did Jimmy bring the package in all right?
Oh, yes. Yes. Here it is.
Oh, that's wonderful.
We'll get the films moving east by tonight. And by Monday, they'll be spread to every agent of ours in the country. We're a step ahead of these people every foot of the way. Nothing will stop us, Gloria. Nothing.
I never doubted anything would.
All right, now. Let's get ready to move out. I want to be on our way east in an hour.
She was the kind of girl who would fool anyone, Chief. She could pull that stunt twice a week and never be...
San Antonio to car C5.
I'll take that. Harding, San Antonio. Go ahead.
Meeker reports curly-haired suspect who took car trailed the following address in San Antonio, 1842 Del Rosa.
1842 Del Rosa.
That's right, Mr. Harding. Suspect entered the house with a suitcase apparently containing contraband. Left house 5 minutes later without the suitcase.
What kind of house is it, San Antonio?
A 2-story house, frame affair, front and back entrance. Suspect entered first floor door. Second floor has apparently unconnected occupant.
You have the house covered?
Meeker's on the spot. I'm heading there, too.
Okay, good. Now tell Meeker...
Just a minute, Mr. Harding.
I wonder what's up, Chief.
Johnson just checked in. He followed the girl from the Gunther Hotel to the same address.
That's more than coincidence, Chief.
Okay, San Antonio. Keep all agents on the spot. We're headed there right away. All right, Peter. See if you can get some speed out of this thing.
There's Jones, Mr. Harding.
Jones.
Hello, Chief. Peters. Jones. That's it. The yellow frame house across the street. They're on the first floor.
Where you got the men posted?
Meeker and Johnson are back in the alley. I got a pair up on the street in the car. Evans is standing in the doorway on this side.
Any idea who the occupant is?
Yeah, we checked around. Couldn't get much of a line on him. He moved in about a week ago. Neighbors say he's a big man. I haven't seen him much.
Is he in there, Jones?
Yeah. He opened up the door for both the curly-haired suspect and the girl.
All right. Let's go. You go up to the door with me, Peters. You follow us up, Jones.
Okay.
Give the boys a high sign. We're going to move in.
Okay. They got it, and they're ready.
All right, Jones. Come up behind us.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. Now, you knock, Peters. I'll cover you.
Right. I'll be glad to wind this one up.
So will I. Knock again.
Yes, who is it?
It's me.
You? Who are you? Oh,
Hello, Miss White. Surprise.
Harry, how did you...
I did.
We're United States Counterspy.
What?
We know that there's a man...
Hey,
watch it! That's him! Sanderson! Yeah. Oh! You got it, Peter. Come on.
You hit me. You hit me. Get me a doctor, will you?
All right, Sanderson, take it easy. We'll get you a doctor.
I'm hit. I'm hit bad. I need a doctor.
What did you do to him? What did you do to him?
Anderson's all right, lady. He's not hurt bad.
There are the films, Chief. All ready to go.
Yes, and the only place they're going is where we're taking them. And the only place these people are going is where we're putting them. Come on, all of you, let's go. This is David Harding. Here's a statement by the Honorable J. Edgar Hoover, Director, Federal Bureau of Investigation. The President of the United States, in restating the responsibilities of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, has called upon all law enforcement officers, patriotic organizations, and individuals to report information pertaining to espionage, sabotage, and subversive activities to the FBI. The following suggestions are made to assist patriotic organizations and individuals in complying with the President's request.
Be alert. Learn to know the enemies of the American way of life. If you suspect sabotage, espionage, or subversive activities, communicate with the nearest office of the FBI and furnish all facts in your possession. Once you have reported your information to the FBI, do not circulate rumors or endeavor to make private investigations. Leave the investigations to trained investigators who have access to data acquired over the years on individuals engaged in subversive activities.
The internal security of the United States can best be assured with the cooperation, aid, and assistance of every law-abiding person in our nation.
Tune in every week, same time, same station, to Counterspy. Listen next week for the exciting Case of the Invisible Insurrectionist.
Behind the nationwide headlines of a recent murder attempt lies a strange story of a certain organization to whom misery was a necessity and treason a way of earning a living. How your counterspies answered this challenge by proving that charity doesn't always begin at home will be revealed for the first time next week in
Case of the Invisible Insurrectionist on Counterspy. Tonight's Counterspy program originated in New York, was directed by Marks B. Loeb, and featured Don MacLaughlin and Mandel Kramer. Lionel Rico speaking. Counterspy is a Phillips H. Lord production. Three chimes mean good times on NBC.
Don MacLaughlin did a lot of other radio roles, but we know Mandel Kramer best as the final Johnny Dollar in yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Counterspy, 73 years ago, December 10th, 1950, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Tomorrow, comedy, Fibber McGee and Molly, The Great Gildersleeve, Father Knows Best, Phil Harris and Alice Faye, and Lum and Abner. Up next, though, front page drama.
Spring is nearly here, and many of our listeners will be getting out their gardening tools, their overalls or shorts to again try their hands at raising their own vegetables. For most of us, gardening is an enjoyable hobby, and it certainly is a great thrill to see the results of your work come out of the ground right before your eyes. In other lands, many people will also be watching their spring planting grow. CARE, the Cooperative for American Remittances to Europe, proposes to help meet that need with their new vegetable seed package. It contains 28 varieties of vegetables. In order for families in Europe to start planting, you should order the CARE seed package right away. Total cost, with delivery guaranteed, is $4. Send your orders to Nonprofit CARE, 50 Broad Street, New York, and help a family help themselves.
There were a few quarter-hour radio shows that were based around magazines you saw inside your weekly Sunday newspaper. One of them was Front Page Drama that was based on the American Weekly, a Sunday newspaper supplement published from November of 1896 until 1966. And it was billed as having a circulation of over 50 million readers. And, it was filled with scantily clad showgirls and tales of murder and suspense. It was about 21 by 15 inches, printed on fragile newsprint, so few copies have survived. And so there you go. It was, like I said, even though there were so many issues out there, a lot of them have not survived to this date. So from the pages of the American Weekly, we have this episode of Front Page Drama from 73 years ago, December 10th, 1950.
A front-page drama from the files of the American Weekly.
But why, Cranston? What reason did you have to kill him?
Reason? Every reason in the world. The murder of Dr. Samuel Schwint was perfectly justified. At least to me.
Now, wait a minute before you begin. A lot of time has gone by, but we can still check on every detail. If you're really guilty, you'll still pay.
Naturally. I expect to pay. But I wouldn't confess unless I had my reasons.
There was something about the way old Mr. Cranston spoke that made Lieutenant Wadsworth feel there was a reason for his confession other than a desire to cleanse his conscience. Front Page Drama brings you an unusual crime story from the files of the American Weekly, the great magazine that is distributed with a leading Sunday newspaper on sale in this city. Lieutenant Harry Wadsworth, head of the Police Homicide Bureau in an eastern city, was busy at his desk when a small, meek-looking old man was ushered into his office.
Yes? What is it?
My name is Cranston, Lieutenant. John Cranston.
What can I do for you?
May I sit down, please? My health isn't very good.
Oh, sure. Sit right there. Now then.
I want to confess a murder.
You want to confess a murder? Mr. Cranston, who did you kill today?
It wasn't today, although it's all so very fresh in my mind. It happened just 40 years ago.
40 years ago? Look, my friend, you know I'm a very busy man.
I'm telling the truth, Lieutenant. If you'll only look in the department files, you'll find the record of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, who is it you say you killed 40 years ago, Mr. Cranston?
A man by the name of Dr. Samuel Schwint.
Schwint? Name doesn't ring a bell for me.
But the police keep records. Why not check them?
Well, we're here to serve the public. Burroughs, go down to the file room and see if there's a file on a Samuel Schwint, will you? It goes back 40 years. Right. You just wait here, Mr. Cranston. This will take a little time.
I'll wait. After all, I waited 40 years already.
Well, you certainly were right, Mr. Cranston. A doctor named Samuel Schwint was murdered 40 years ago. By the way, just how did you say you killed him?
I haven't said yet, Lieutenant. But I'll tell you. I treated him to a bottle of beer.
To a bottle of beer? And that killed him?
Yes, sir.
Well, here's a statement by Schwint's widow. Let's see if it tallies. She wrote, on Monday, November 29th, a package came through the mail for my
husband. It was from the Hofstetter Brewery. I thought it must be a sample, so I put it in the icebox. When he came in that night, I gave it to him, and I said, "There is something for you, Samuel, from the Hofstetter Brewery."
Well, the Hofstetter Brewery? It's a sample, I hope.
Oh, come now. Breweries aren't drug houses. They don't send samples to doctors.
By jingo, it is. It's a bottle of ale. Well, isn't that nice of them? It's my favorite beverage, too.
There is a letter with it.
Oh, yes. Dear Doctor, we are taking the liberty of sending you a sample of our product. We trust you will find this new ale to your liking and hope you will be kind enough to recommend it to your patients.
What an odd way of advertising.
It's a clever one. After all, a doctor's recommendation carries a great deal of weight. Oh, let me have a glass, my dear. Oh, I can open this bottle with my keyring.
Here you are, Samuel.
Oh, what a fine head. Well, here's to the Hofstetter Brewery. Oh.
What is it?
The ale. It's poison.
And that's the way it happened?
Just as I had planned.
But why, Cranston? What reason did you have to kill him?
Reason? Every reason in the world. Yes, the murder of Dr. Samuel Schwint was perfectly justified, at least to me.
Now, wait a minute before you begin. A lot of time has gone by, but we can still check on every detail, and if you're guilty, you'll still pay.
Naturally, I expect to pay. But I wouldn't confess unless I had my reasons.
What are they?
I'll tell them to you after I tell my story.
All right, I'll get the stenographer in.
John Cranston settled back in his chair, looking more like a benign grandfather at bedtime story time than a man confessing to a cold-blooded murder. Listen in just a moment for the exciting conclusion to this front-page drama. Ever since her coming-out party, when she appeared with smudged face and wearing dirty dungarees, Patricia Marshall Tate has been rebelling against the conventions and raising the eyebrows of proper Bostonians. Her life has been a continual challenge to the social code of her family and friends. You'll find it makes interesting reading. It appears in the series called Romantic Rebels and is entitled Patricia and the Proper Bostonians. Read it in the December 17th issue of the American Weekly. The American Weekly is a magazine with an infinite variety of unusual true stories and articles. Its distinguished big-name contributors and its daring dramatic illustrations, many of them in full color, have earned the American Weekly a permanent welcome by readers in over 9.5 million homes. The American Weekly is distributed with a leading Sunday paper in this city. Read it, and you'll agree that it deserves its slogan, The Nation's Reading Habit. And now back to our front-page drama. It wasn't often that Lieutenant Wadsworth was confronted with a murderer as anxious to pay for his crime as Mr. Cranston seemed to be. As soon as the police stenographer was ready to record it, the mild-mannered old man began the story of a 40-year-old crime.
I was married then, Lieutenant, to a girl with whom I'd been in love with ever since I was knee-high. My wife had beauty, real beauty, outside and in, and I loved her more than life itself. One day, when our little boy was about 4 years old, Ruth came into my printing shop.
John, dear.
Yes, Ruth?
I was wondering whether I shouldn't see a doctor and have a complete examination.
Why, has anything been bothering you?
No, I've been feeling all right, but everybody says it's wise to have a thorough examination now and then. Sally Peabody went to that new doctor on Spring Street, Dr. Schwint, and he found that she had a bad liver condition.
You mean she'd never suspected it herself?
No, and it might have gotten worse. But Dr. Schwint gave her some injections, and now she's fine again.
All right. If you want to put your mind at rest, go see Doc Winder and let him give you a checkup.
Oh, John, I'd rather go to this new doctor. Sally says he has the most modern instruments, and he knows all the latest methods of treatment.
Doc Winder's always looked after us.
Oh, he's so old-fashioned. He'd probably laugh at me for even suggesting that I need an examination when I feel all right.
Maybe so. Well, if you want to see this Dr. Schwint, that's all right with me, too.
Mrs. Cranston, do you ever feel tired at the end of the day?
Oh, yes, Dr. Schwint, often.
You find that you get short of breath, say after climbing a flight of stairs?
Well, to tell the truth, I can't run upstairs the way I used to, but I guess it's just my age creeping up on me. I'm 32.
32 is no age at all. But, Mrs. Cranston, you have a real ailment.
I have?
Oh, yes, degeneration of the fatty tissues around the heart.
Heart trouble?
Oh, I didn't say that. This is entirely different. Fortunately, there's a wonderful cure for your condition. All it requires is a course of expensive injections.
I see. And when do I have to take them?
Or twice a week. Suppose I give you the first one now, hmm?
Well, all right, Doctor. I rely on you. I know you'll only do what you think is best for me. John, is that you?
Yes, Ruth. What are you doing on the couch at this time of the day?
I don't feel well, dear.
What's the matter?
I don't know. I went to see Dr. Schwint today, and he told me it was the fatty tissues around my heart, and He gave me an injection, but ever since I got home, I've been feeling dizzy and nauseous. Oh, John, I feel awful.
I better get Doc Winters over here.
Oh, no, he wouldn't know how to treat this. Call Dr. Schwint. Hurry, John, it's getting worse.
Yes, I see. Oh, it's a natural reaction. Another hypodermic will do a lot to alleviate this faintness you feel, Mrs. Cranston. I'll prepare it.
Wait, Doctor. Seems to me your first hypodermic injection is what brought this on.
Nonsense, man. Your arm, please, Mrs. Cranston.
Yeah.
Now, just look the other way. There.
Oh.
It's done.
Thank you, Doctor. Sure. John!
Ruth, speak to me. She's dead. You killed her, Schwind. You murderer, you.
So you thought this Dr. Schwint killed your wife. Is that it, Cranston?
He did kill her. He murdered her, Lieutenant Wadsworth.
Oh, come now. A physician sometimes makes a mistake, but that isn't murder.
Physician? He was no physician. He faked his diploma and set himself up in practice. Heaven knows how many people he'd killed, and would have continued killing if I hadn't ended his career.
This Schwint was a quack, then.
When I knew that my wife's death had been murder, I made up my mind to have revenge.
Well, you've convinced me, Cranston. So now you've come to confess because you want to get it off your conscience?
Partly to get it off my conscience. But there's more than that. After my son's death, my daughter-in-law turned against me and denied me a home. I'm an old man with no place to go. But that's no problem anymore. At least in jail I'll have a roof over my head and peace and quiet.
Cranston was arrested, but never went to prison after all, for he died of natural causes during his trial. This has been another story from the American Weekly album of famous mysteries. For exciting and fascinating real-life stories, you can always depend on the album of famous mysteries in every issue of the American Weekly. Naturally, real names have not been used. Not every criminal obliges the police by voluntarily confessing his crime. When George E. Marsh was killed, it took the police long and arduous work to discover his killer. Even then, they might not have succeeded, but for one slim clue found in a lonely salt marsh. Don't miss the case of the plaid cap in the December 17th issue of the American Weekly. The American Weekly brings you timely, thought-provoking articles, amusing commentaries, intimate memoirs, and stories that actually happened, written by the world's finest writers. Readers in over 9.5 million homes look forward to the American Weekly each week. Why not let that include your home, starting this week? Ask for the Sunday paper that contains the nation's reading habit, the American Weekly.
And there you have it, from December 10th, 1950, front page drama. And that's going to put a wrap on this edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Find more information about our podcast and how you can support it at classicradio.stream. That's classicradio.stream. Your support means so much to me. Classicradio.stream. Have yourself a great day, and we will see you for our Monday edition with a whole bunch of laughs. Take care.